rebuild their weapons. What do you think of that?
Well, this is what the IRGC, which is really the people who are controlling right now the Trump regime, this is what they do. They try to drag this out in order to get a better military position for themselves. And remember, there was some early reporting that the Chinese and the Russians were assisting the Iranians in some way. We don't know all the details to the degree they were, but in some way, we know that we suspect that the Russians were helping the Iranians with targeting as well. So even though the United States successfully eliminated their Air Force, successfully eliminated their Navy, they still have some ways to target American aircraft. And so they are regrouping. They are rebuilding some of their, ability to produce drones, which of course makes big juicy targets for the United States to conduct another military operation. I don't know, Aisha, who is advising the president to prolong these, at this point, I think, worthless negotiations. But whoever it is, it's the people who are leaking to the press and providing this information about what the Iranians are demanding on us. Of course, they're not in a position to demand on the United States. The United States does have the military advantage. And so I think that, again, the president's instincts need to prevail here, and that is to compel an end to the war by breaking the will of the Trump regime.
President Vance just arriving at the White House. What more can you tell us about that meeting?
Yeah, Brett, there's a lot of details swirling around right now, but here is what we do know. Speaking with White House officials, they say that inside the Oval Office right now, President Trump is meeting with top aides and allies about potentially resuming military action in the ongoing conflict with Iran. Our eagle-eyed producer, Emily Hung, spotted Vice President Vance's motorcade arriving just within the past hour. There are also reports out there as well that Jared Kushner and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff are a part of those conversations. I'd also imagine there's a slew of potentially other significant individuals in the administration a part of these conversations that we are in real time working to confirm. But the president, it's also being reported, is expected in these ongoing conversations to host some type of call with Gulf leaders as well, hoping to parse together a peace deal that can be reached while also considering resuming this military action. As you noted at the top, we've been getting some of these mixed signals from President Trump over the past few days, also over even just the past few hours as we've gathered some of this information. The president frequently notes that he has decimated the capabilities of Iran militarily.
Quote, blow them to kingdom come. Meanwhile, Fox News is learning President Trump held a key phone call today with regional leaders on the months-long war. One diplomat calling that call very positive. Our coverage begins with Alex Hogan, live at the White House, where the president is spending this Memorial Day weekend. Hello, Alex.
Hi, Molly. So a lot of discussions taking place here at the White House today with President Trump, as you mentioned, telling Axios that he would hold a meeting with negotiators today to go over this latest deal with Iran. And one regional diplomat telling Fox News' Trey Yingst in the Middle East, quote, regional leaders were supportive of the progress and of the breakthroughs that President Trump achieved in these talks. We also heard the president say that it was 50-50 whether or not there would be a deal reached and that a decision would be made by tomorrow as of whether or not strikes would resume in Iran. We're also learning at the same time President Trump telling CBS that negotiations are getting closer, so some progress there. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in India today. He reiterated that the president has hard lines for a deal. Iran would not be able to have any nuclear capabilities. Iran would need to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and turn over any enriched uranium.
So, hello, everybody. Something weird is happening. Something weird is going on. And as you listen to those news clips, I did them sequentially in time. The first one was like at 11 or 12, and the last one was at 3 o'clock. And as we're listening to those, you could hear the code words that go out. Heard from an official, heard from a diplomat, heard from this person, heard from my mom's hairdresser. You didn't hear them say they heard specifically from Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, who else is in the room? Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, Pete Hegseth. So here's what I'm going to tell you. What I'm going to show you right now is kind of going to probably show you something. One of the first things I wanted to tell you is be careful. No one outside of that room knows what's really going on. No one. Everybody, if they did, they would be able to say, so-and-so told me. I spoke to Pete Hegseth and he said this. I spoke to President Trump and he said this. Do you think for an instant that probably one of the most touchiest negotiations in recent American history is being fed out to the media as to what's happening? I can't buy that. In fact, I remember having a show way back, and I went through Art of the Deal and how it was based a lot on Art of War, Sun Tzu. And the whole thing with Sun Tzu, if you've ever looked at Sun Tzu's, his teachings there, everything is based on deception. Everything is to make sure, as you would expect, that the other guy doesn't know what you're doing. That the other guy is saying one thing and you're probably going to be saying something else, because we don't want them knowing what we're thinking. Now, President Trump has been very explicit. He has said, no, you can't have a nuclear program. That's it. That's the drop dead button. Pretty much everything else might be on the table. So I want to show you, to prove to you how you can't put any credence into this stuff yet. Let me go and show you what this first person says. This is Mike Pompeo, former Secretary of State. The deal being floated with Iran seems straight out of the Wendy Sherman, Robert Malley, Ben Rhodes, Obama-era playbook. Pay the IRGC to build a weapons of mass destruction program and terrorize the world. Not remotely America first, it's straightforward. Open the dam straight. Deny Iran access to money. Take out enough Iranian capability so it cannot threaten our allies in the region. Overdue, let's go. Don't think he's been in the Oval Office. So I don't know, when he says this deal being floated, he's probably reading the same crap that we are. Let's see who else had something to say. This guy here. What's his name? Barack Ravid, a regional source, said all the Arab and Muslim leaders on the call with Trump on Saturday urged him to go ahead with the deal to end the war and de-escalate the situation in the region. The message from everyone was, please stop the war for the benefit of the whole region. According to the regional source, of the negotiations are moving well, and the mediators hope to conclude the one-page framework agreement tomorrow and announce it. Then the mediators want to initiate negotiations on a detailed agreement a few days later. Having done many, many deals, let me just tell you something. There is no deal until you have a deal. There is no deal that you can announce until you actually have a deal. As soon as I read this, I went, well, then you don't really have one. The mediators want to initiate negotiations on a detailed agreement a few days later, which means you don't have an agreement on this one-page framework. You have bullet points. You got a PowerPoint presentation. Otherwise, there wouldn't have to be more negotiations 3 days later. I hope you see that. If I'm going to agree to do something, to shake your hand and sign a contract, that's the deal. I'm not signing a piece of paper that just gets us to agree to look at a deal. I don't need a letter of intent when I do business. Either I'm going to get you the contract and you're going to sign it, or we got no deal. I don't want a letter of intent. That's what he just described. What he just described in here is that the negotiations are moving well and the mediators hope to conclude a one-page framework agreement tomorrow and announce it. Well, if it's an agreement, then you are done. You don't have an agreement to get to the agreement. If you're not reading precisely what these people are saying, that way you can look at it and go, that didn't make any sense. Let's see who is next. This woman, who's been all over it from the beginning, Nia Berg, this is a defeat, not for the Islamic regime, but for the United States. This deal will likely look identical to what the mullahs demanded back in January. Which is stop right there. This deal will likely look means she has no idea what the deal is. I watch these things. I'm like, what the hell are you people saying? What do you mean it will likely look? You have no idea more than Barry or anybody else in the chat right now. Oh, it'll likely look the same. Who else we got? You got Alex Brusewitz. He actually went after Mike Pompeo. Mike, are you being paid by any special interest groups or countries to oppose President Trump's effort to reach a peace agreement? Because what Mike Pompeo said made absolutely no sense either. Let's continue. This is from somebody, some network called the Faituka Network. Israeli officials say U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff is trying to secure an agreement, quote, at any cost, and is the one pressing President Trump not to resume fighting. According to Israel's Channel 12, and the first part of it says, you know, it makes no sense. If Steve Witkoff had talked to Channel 12 and had said it's Trump's fault, he's trying to do something, I don't think we should do it, then Steve Witkoff would be on a plane back here. It's absolutely insane. This guy, who I thought was a viable source, now I've got to be subject about it. Right on cue, Iran's version of the deal reportedly contradicts Trump's, per Fars News Agency. So he's using Fars News Agency as his source. Tehran agreed to restore Hormuz shipping volumes to pre-war levels, but Iran insists the deal does not mean a return to unrestricted free passage. Huh? What? What does that mean? But Iran, it retains full authority over the strait, shipping routes, transit timing, permits, and passage procedures. This contradicts Trump's claim that the situation was returning to normal. Iran also reportedly said no commitments on its nuclear programs were discussed. Okay, the one thing that President Trump in America wants is this nuclear thing to go away. And you're telling me there is some bulletproof, that's what a shirt I got, a bullet point framework agreement that you guys did on PowerPoint that doesn't include the one thing we want. Make that make sense. The one thing that President Trump, his line in the sand is Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And you're telling me, oh, we're not even discussing that. Now, I know a lot of people on the left think Trump is stupid. I know a lot of people on the left think Trump is taco. If Trump were to sign something like that, I think he knows you lose the midterms, you lose every other race this coming Tuesday, and you're going to have a bunch of people abandon you. This isn't America first. This isn't art of the deal. If you're saying, okay, we don't need the nuclear stuff. I was joking. I know you tried to kill my daughter. Don't worry about it. Let's go have some falafels and have a day. You believe that? That's what they're trying to tell us. This one is from The Spectator. Iranian state media says that the Strait of Hormuz will stay under Iranian control despite claims by Trump. And that's at 5:25 p.m. What in the hell is going on? Don't know. Don't know. Mario came back with something else. It says, from what I'm hearing, who you hearing it from, bro? From what I'm hearing, this deal will be disastrous for Israel and an insane win for Iran. Apparently includes Iran controlling the state of Hormuz, having billions of assets unfrozen, ending the war in Lebanon, and not conceding on their nuclear program. Hell, by the way, at the bottom of his tweet, he says, it's all unconfirmed. None of it's really true. We don't know. It's painful. It's painful sometimes to watch social media. It's painful to see people trying to act like they have the inside source instead of just saying, let's see what happens. That's all you'd have to do. You don't have to make yourself look like you're important. You don't have any damn sources. On the bottom, you said, all of this is unconfirmed. So you spit up all over your keyboard and you're trying to tell people to click this and share it and everything else, and you have no idea. The only one who has an idea is President Trump. And this is what President Trump said. I'm going to show you the entirety of the post, and then you can take your conclusion from it. Here we go. I am in the Oval Office at the White House, where we just had a very good call with President Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the United Arab Emirates, Emir Tamim bin Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani. Whoa, that's a name, bro. Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Jassim bin Jabr Al Thani. Y'all killing me here. And Minister Ali Al Fawadi of Qatar, Field Marshal Syed Asim Munir Ahmed Shah of Pakistan. I'm going to have to breeze through some of these names. President Recep of Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey, President Abdul Fattah of Egypt, King Abdullah of Jordan, and King Hamad bin Isa Ali Khalifa of Bahrain concerning the Islamic Republic of Iran and all things related to a, quote, memorandum of understanding pertaining to peace. I just want to stop there. Did you see anything in there, despite all those names I can't pronounce? Did you see anything where he said, we were talking to the Iranians? You see, back when I was in sales, we would call that a one-legged appointment. Some of you guys may have been in sales in your life, and you know exactly what a one-leg appointment is. You know, I got out of college, I sold all kinds of stuff. One of the things I sold was I was working for Prudential Beige, and I was trying to get people to get into mutual funds and stuff like that. You'd go to someone's house, and you'd sit down, and they're like, hey, where's the wife? Where's the husband? I need both of you here, because the easiest objection somebody's going to say is, oh, okay, thanks for all the information. I got to go run it by my husband. Oh, he's not able to be here. I got to wait till my husband gets home. Or I got to wait till my wife gets home. That's called a one-legged appointment. As you were reading what President Trump said, that's one-legged. The Iranians weren't involved. So there can be no deal. We're going to play telephone here, and these bin Ahmad Al Khalifa, they're all going to go back to Iran now and say, here's what's proposed. It's possible that somebody from Iran could have been on the phone or could have been, taking dictation, but at that point, we don't even sit at the same table with them. Nobody's telling you that. Let's continue. An agreement has been largely negotiated, subject to finalization between the United States of America, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and the various other countries as listed. All right, let's stop there. We don't have an agreement. I don't know what these other people are saying. We don't have shit. Excuse my language. Do you understand that? As you read that directly from the president, not some idiot on Twitter. The president just said, we don't have an agreement. An agreement, here, let me go ahead and show you this. An agreement has been largely negotiated, subject to finalization between all of the countries. For those of you who have never done a deal, subject to finalization means subject to approval. I want to see what the contract says. President Trump's going to want to see what the final contract says. If you've ever bought a house, I always lean on my real estate stuff because it's so fresh. And you offer a price, and they come back with a price, and you agree, but there's a whole bunch of conditions down below. You're going to fix the pool. You're going to fix the driveway. You're going to do this. Oh, you're going to get the HOA. There's all kinds of other things. The entire contract is, quote, subject to finalization. Anywhere in that, something can go wrong. It's a wish and a prayer until it actually gets to closing. And what I'm reading is, this is a wish and a prayer to try and get it to close. Yet, none of the terms have been delineated separately. And this is President Trump directly. Separately, I had a call with Bibi Netanyahu, which likewise went very, very well. Final aspects and details of the deal are currently being discussed. What does that tell you? What does that say to you? If we're currently discussing, then we don't have a deal. I was going to say something crude about a prophylactic, but you know what I'm saying. There's nothing consummated. Until this man tells us it's a done deal and here are the terms, watch out on social media. I mean, because at this point, you guys should be able to see what in the hell are these people talking about. President Trump is actually putting it out here. So the details of the deal are currently being discussed and will be announced shortly. Notice what he said is going to be announced. Not the deal. The final aspects and the details of the deal are going to be announced shortly. In addition to many other elements of the agreement, the Strait of Hormuz will be open. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. The Strait of Hormuz is one thing. The other big thing is all the nuclear dust. And so until we, or actually the president who's negotiating obviously on behalf of America, puts out an agreement that says you can't have the nuclear dust, and Iran says, okay, we agree. Everything else you're going to see over the next 24 hours is conjecture. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody has the inside source. And if they do, they're going to go away really quickly. And so even people in the chat, oh, I heard this, I heard that. Doesn't really matter what you heard. Mike Pompeo, this is a horrible deal. It sounds just like Obama. What did you get from this that makes it sound anything like Obama? Now, tomorrow, this is the second part of the equation. If tomorrow, Tuesday, we see an agreement that somehow looks like we retreated, then people can scream at Trump. But as you're sitting here right now on a Saturday evening, do you really think President Trump's going to retreat? Do you think he's going to get bullied like he got bullied in his first term? And have some third party say, you got to do this at any cost? You really think that's going to happen? If you do, I don't think you know President Trump. I don't think you read Art of the Deal. I don't think you understand what it's like. My next story, that someone wants to kill your daughter. He's just going to roll over today? I just don't see it. I don't see it. Everything I've read about him for the last 30 years, reading the books, understanding how he works, I just don't see it. But the question is, well, nobody knows until it actually happens. And so that's what, that's what I wanted to tell you today. And I'll take some comments in a second because it's sad to see so many people trying to be authoritative and just instead of just saying, I don't know yet. You got no sources. Who's your source? Fred? Alibaba, somebody? There's no one talking. No one of substance talking. Mike Pompeo, you come out and say something and you don't even know what's going on. Crazy. All right, I'm going to jump into the next segment here. But I did want to tell you guys, you're probably looking at this shirt going, what is that one? That's another one. See, take a look at what I got on right now. This is the Trump Bulletproof shirt. There you go, right there. It says Trump Bulletproof. It's got a little look like he does with his head. It's a very obvious, you can tell I'm a big guy. This is a very nice made shirt. Heavy fabric, premium stitching, design right across the front. This isn't some cheap knockoff. This is the real deal, brought to you guys from Patriot Addict. I'm wearing mine right now, and I'm telling you, you can see it fits. And I'm a big guy. This, I believe, is a 4X. And it even feels well. And down here, I don't really wear black shirts in Florida in this time of year, but it was remarkably not that hot. Now, here's why I'm wearing this. President Trump has survived three assassination attempts that we know of. And he's still standing, still fighting for this country every single day. The man is indeed bulletproof. I know Candace Owens and Hunter did a show where they tried to say, yeah, I don't believe it. People don't believe anything. So I'm showing my support, especially this weekend, the only way I know how, by wearing it loud and proud. That's why Patriot Addict is sending these out, these bulletproof Trump shirts to every Trump supporter in America. It's that simple. Just go to berrypack.com to get yours now. This shirt is built tough, just like the man himself. Heavy-duty fabric, premium print, made to last. This is just their way of saying thank you for standing with President Trump through everything that they've thrown at him and shot at him. Normally, this shirt retails over $40, but you can have it for free. You can have this shirt for free just for the cost of shipping. No hidden charges, no recurring fees. Just go ahead to berrypack.com to apply your 100% off coupon and claim your Trump bulletproof shirt before they're all gone. Free. It's free. And I just want to tell you, if you have a problem getting your shirt fulfilled or the mystery box, make sure you email Ashley and tell the mods. They told us, things happen sometimes, and we will work hard with you to make sure you get your stuff. But for, we're here on Memorial Day weekend. I'd love for you to get a chance to see this. All right, I'll be back with, I'll talk to you guys for a bit, then we'll jump into Ivanka. And that'll be this.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man.
Breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
OMG. I'm not sure what the hell is going on right now. But there have been 30 to 40 shots at the White House. Wow. Breaking shots fired just outside the White House. Multiple reporters are saying they heard 30 shots, and I've seen others with even more. Press has been rushed into the press briefing rooms by Secret Service. White House now on lockdown. Snipers on rooftop. Here's a woman who was doing a call when she actually heard the shots go off. So what I'm going to do is hold for a second here. And I'm going to get the feed ready so I can pull up what in the heck is going on at the White House. It's never going to end. It's never going to end. Give me a couple minutes here so I can get this turned on. I didn't know I would need my feed today. It's going to take me probably about 3 minutes to get this turned on. Let me see if I can find my music thing here. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Where is it? Where is it? All right, so let me just jump. I'll get this put together.
to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
This thing must be just breaking right now. None of the feeds are even covering it yet. So I'm waiting to see if that comes up so if I can pull something up. But they're saying shots fired. Looking for more information all over the place. I'm not seeing anything with a feed as of right now. But they're saying a shot at the shots fired at the White House. And I'm looking to see if the feed changes up. So if the feed changes and they start broadcasting from the White House, I will definitely pull that up. This is absolutely insane what's going on right now. But we'll see what happens. All right, let me get into the Ivanka stuff real quick while this is unfolding.
Much for being with us. I want to start with some breaking news this evening. There are reports circulating that first daughter Ivanka Trump has been targeted by an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps trained terrorist in a revenge plot over the death of Iran's military chief Qasem Soleimani in a U.S. drone strike. The terrorist reportedly spoke of the plot, for which he supposedly had a blueprint of Ivanka's Florida home before his recent capture in Turkey. He has since been extradited to the U.S. So, Waleed, I want to get your reaction on this first. What do you think?
Well, first of all, jihadists in general have said that they have targeted the Trump family. I myself, as one of the first foreign policy advisors during the campaign in 2016, there was an invitation coming from Egypt, but from allies, and the campaign was very firm. The invitation was to Ivanka Trump to deliver a speech to women. The campaign was very clear, and I was from that direction. You cannot have her go because the Muslim Brotherhood, the jihadists. And now we have a problem with the Islamic regime in Iran since the assassination, mostly since that time, of the head of the Quds force. So it is very serious when we hear stories or reports about individuals who have been working with the commander who has been eliminated, who have been working with the regime against members of the families. That is a top priority, because by targeting the family, by targeting people who are close to the president or members of the cabinet or anybody who is a decision maker, they are trying to create a chaos. They are trying to create divisions to get and gain time for their regime. So we have to be very careful about that. And I am very happy that this information was unveiled, and then he is arrested.
So,
you guys really think this man, President of the United States, you really think that he knows, especially now, if this stuff gets verified and we can start seeing what's going on, because all the news shows right now are taped, and so none of the live people have come on. It sucks on the weekends. But you really think that if he found out that these people wanted to kill his daughter, were publishing all kinds of pictures and blueprints of her house, and she doesn't live too far from us. She's in a place called, they call it the Billionaire Bunker. Tom Brady lives there. A couple other, big time celebrities live there. It's a very exclusive enclave down here in Miami. About a $25 or $30 million house. I would have loved to see how they were going to get in there. Were they going to, parachute in or something? But after all said and done, does everybody really think that President Trump's just going to turn and look the other way after they tried to assassinate his daughter, his firstborn? I think she's the firstborn. No effing way. And so now couple that with what we're trying to get confirmation on. It doesn't make any sense.
For the New York Post, the man behind this plot was an Iraqi national who the Justice Department had arrested earlier this month for his alleged ties to Kataib Hezbollah and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The New York Post reports Mohammed al-Sadi had targeted Ivanka Trump to avenge the killing of his mentor, top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, in 2020. A former deputy military attaché in the Iraqi embassy tells the Post, after Qasem was killed, al-Sadi went around telling people, we need to kill Ivanka to burn down the house of Trump the way he burned down our house.
Now, as you heard earlier, President Trump was talking about an agreement. So you tell me, are you going to sit across from the table and put an agreement together with somebody who's trying to kill your daughter? I can tell you right now, Ashley lives up in Raleigh, outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. And if I found out that somebody was trying to take out my daughter, Robin would have to go to the bank, get the bail money, and then follow me in a different car, because if I can't get a plane, I'm driving to Raleigh, and I don't want to hear nothing about any sort of let's calm down. No, I'm pretty sure this man would want to take this guy's face apart. Crazy. Let me show you the New York Post article that came out and was showing everybody everything. It says, Ivanka Trump targeted for assassination by Iranian guard terrorists in twisted plot to avenge president taking out his mentor. First daughter, Ivanka Trump, was targeted for assassination by an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps trained terrorist in a twisted plot to avenge the president taking out his mentor. Recently captured Mohammed Bagar Saad Dawood al-Saji, 32, made a pledge to kill Ivanka and even had a blueprint of her Florida home. The Iraqi national was allegedly targeting Donald Trump's family in response to killing of Iranian military chief Qassem Soleimani in a U.S. drone strike in Baghdad 6 years ago. After Qassem was killed, hold on a second. I was just reading some comment here, and it says Benny Johnson says the war is over. He's got an insider that knows all. All right. After Qassem was killed, al-Sadi, went around telling people we need to kill, as you just heard, Ivanka, to burn down the house of Trump the way he burned down our house. Efrat Kanbar, a former deputy military attaché in the Iraqi embassy, told the Washington Post. And here is the guy that wanted to do it. It says he was posing with artillery weapons in a picture he posted online. All right, let's see. Next thing, there's Ivanka and Jared. And where's the rest of the article? Okay, we heard that he had a plan of Ivanka's house in Florida, Kabar added. A second source also confirmed al-Sadi's plot to kill Ivanka. Al-Sadi also posted a picture of a map showing the enclave in Florida where Ivanka and husband Jared Kushner have a $24 million home. He posted that on X. Not smart, alongside a chilling threat in Arabic, which translates, I say to the Americans, look at the picture and know that neither your palaces nor the Secret Service will protect you. We are currently in the stage of surveillance and analysis. I told you, our revenge is just a matter of time. I don't want to negotiate with these people. I want to exterminate these people. I want to make sure these people are completely gone forever. I do not want to sit with them. But that's what we're being told that has to be happening right now. I can't. Al-Said is said to be a high-ranking figure in the Iran terror circles, arrested in Turkey on May 15th and extradited to the U.S., where he is charged with 18 attacks and attempted attacks throughout Europe and the United States, per the Department of Justice. So he got okay, here we go. Hold on. Let me bring this up.
As they heard multiple shots and Secret Service telling them to get down. ABC is reporting that the White House North Lawn has been cleared by Secret Service. We are currently monitoring the situation. We'll let you know when we get more information. Kevin, I want to take it back to you, D.C. resident here. Yep. It feels like these things just keep happening.
Yeah, and especially when you consider how close to a major thoroughfare the White House is. If you go down 17th, which is just on the other side of the Eisenhower Executive Office building, there's tons of traffic over there. You could easily hear gunshots, and it's also accessible. You can walk up and down the promenade right along Pennsylvania, and so unless it's blocked off, sometimes they block it off. But things like this do happen. The electromagnetic locks engage immediately. And when they say you are locked in that building. You can pull, push, you cannot get out. If you're on the North Lawn when something like this happens, and that's happened to me before, Secret Service comes out literally literally out of everywhere. The guard shack, the bushes, and they escort you all the way back into the building, and then they clear the lawn. But in this circumstance, we've seen this happen, sadly, too often. Hopefully it's nothing, but obviously they're watching it very carefully, and as we get more, we'll pass that along.
Alicia, these reporters, obviously a lot of presence there today due to this Iran potential peace deal. So a lot of activity, a lot of interest, of course, in what's going on in D.C. and in the White House. What do you make of the press? Again, we just had the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I mean, this feels, to Kevin's point, maybe this is not unheard of, but it feels like this is a disturbing pattern if this is indeed something horrific.
Probably a lot of the correspondents who were on lockdown were also on lockdown inside the ballroom the night of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So they're dealing with this yet again. Secret Service, thank goodness, on it. But once again, here we are once again, and that's the problem. Again, like you mentioned, we don't know if this is a shooting that happened outside the White House that has nothing to do with the White House. The proximity makes it very concerning and makes us all wonder, why are we talking about this again? Why is this happening again? Why this president possibly again? Dealing with these fears of gunshots revolving around this administration is not right, and it hurts, like, to see this happening. Are you seeing something?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, and I love what you had to say there. The pictures you're looking at right there on your screen, that is 17th that we just mentioned on the other side of the Eisenhower Executive Office building. You're going to see, if you look to the right, you see the dark colored vehicles there. Secret Service, they typically collect there. Usually there's between 6 and 8 Secret Service vehicles right there as you have an opportunity to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm looking carefully to see if there's any movement north, because as you go north, there's actually a pretty large building set aside just for Secret Service and other security officials. So as we take a look there, as we're watching now an ambulance come down, that's obviously concerning, and we're looking for more information as we get it. Of course, we'll keep passing that along. Tommy and Alicia, what did you have to add?
Well, we haven't heard of any injuries just yet, but we're continuing to check to see if we're getting any new confirmation on what this could have been. Yeah, you mentioned the ambulance there. That's the part that makes us all start to wonder, right? Yeah. Again, is something else going on?
Or the precaution just because
it could be.
We're not taking any chances, right? So we don't want to jump to any conclusions. But, you know, Tom, to this point, you were sitting at the table with us the day of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and then Kevin and Alicia were here to the wee hours of the morning. We don't know what this is, but the Secret Service, law enforcement, they have to take every precaution if they hear anything that sounds like gunshots this close to the White House in D.C. I mean, I would expect this posture.
Yes, and after the White House Correspondents' Dinner, there was about a week of people on, all sorts of networks saying, "How did this happen?" And they were kind of after the Secret Service. They were saying, "Oh, they should have been more on this." The thing is, this is complicated stuff. The president, the president could be a shut-in. He could stay in the basement. He could stay locked down. But he's out there. He's out not only meeting world leaders, he's going to dinners. He wanted to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. So the White House wants to be active. They want to be out there in the world, and they have to make it as safe as possible. So in that case, I thought, under the current situation, I've been down there. I was only down at that White House Correspondents' Dinner one time. It's multi-level. You can't lock down the whole building. Yeah. They did enclose the area where the president was, and they had that.
So I want to jump in. I got something to show you. A reporter who was standing right outside when it happened, she was doing a hit right from the lawn. So I was in the middle of taping on my iPhone for a social video from the White House North Lawn when we heard the shots. It sounded like dozens of gunshots. We were told to sprint to the press briefing room where we are holding down right now. And I've got that video that I can play for you right now.
That President Trump has said a deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart.
No. Yeah, I'm gonna play that again because OMG, and it's funny because where she's standing, okay, as she was standing there, where she's standing is right where Ashley and I, that path, this path that you see behind her, When I went up to Washington and had to meet, when we got to go see the White House and everything else, the press room, right, that path right there is right outside the gate. And as you walk down into it, there's a whole bunch of tents. These tents are all lined up, and each network has their own tent with all the cameras, crews, and everything else. And it's literally, I mean, as you can see, it's right across the grass to the actual White House. And so they're out there. So that's how close she is, which means those gunshots are happening right outside the White House. Now, could those gunshots be gangbangers doing something? Possibly. And maybe they shut it down just for, for safety purposes. But 30, 40, I mean, hear it again. These shots, there's a ton of them coming.
That President Trump has said a deal is close, only for the two sides to remain far apart.
No. While she was talking, and the guy's like, get down, the shots kept coming. So that's a very brazen place to be, if there was a gang or somebody in a fight there, right outside the White House. That's crazy. And her eyes, you could tell she was terrified, because you don't know where those shots are going. So I had a whole show planned, but now I'm going to be looking at information. Let me jump back over here real quick.
What is the likelihood that those that were at the White House, those that were reporting at the White House, would hear those gunshots?
Good question. It would depend on which side of the complex. For example, if you're on the south side of the complex, you have a major thoroughfare. We're talking about Constitution Avenue. And people drive up and down that street all day long. And if someone got out and decided to discharge a firearm, most definitely you would be able to hear that from the south lawn. On the other side of this, if you're, say, on the north side, if you're walking, for example, there's a park, Lafayette Park, right there in front of the north portico of the White House. If a firearm were discharged there, you better believe people would hear it on the north lawn itself. Now, they do have Secret Service up and down Pennsylvania Avenue, the walkway in front of the White House. And so you would expect that if something were discharged near them, they would immediately spring into action. Again, but based on what I'm looking at, as I look at those live pictures, I wouldn't be surprised if by chance it happened near the street. If it was near 17th, as I pointed out, yeah, you would be able to.
All right, I got another cut for you.
A little bit blurry, but as you could see, these are various people, I assume news agencies, reporters, producers that are essentially running after hearing those gunfire. Shortly after that, you see various Secret Service agents storm and push people out to safety. Chris, give us a sense of what that moment was like, hearing that possible gunfire and then moving towards the direction that Secret Service was pushing you towards.
Right. So as Alex, as soon as you heard the gunshots, everyone kind of just froze, like, wait a minute, are those gunshots? And then immediately we just ran for it, and the Secret Service simultaneously cleared everybody. And because it's a Saturday night, it's not as busy as it would be on a weekday here with all the network reporters and photographers. So it wasn't as busy. Maybe there's 24 of us right now in the press briefing room. But
we have breaking news. CNN reporters heard what appeared to be dozens of gunshots near the White House a short time ago. Julia Benbrook is now inside in the press briefing room. Julia, bring us up to speed what you heard and what you know.
Yeah, I'm here with other White House reporters, photographers. We are now in the briefing room. This is where Secret Service rushed us to after we heard what appeared to be dozens of gunshots. And I want to paint the picture for you a little bit. We're here in the briefing room, and then you can kind of see out the window. Secret Service is currently working the north lawn there to make sure everything is okay. But that's where we do live shots, is those green tents out there. And I was just speaking to you from out there just before this happened. And then reporters were rushed into the briefing room after, again, what appeared to be dozens of gunshots. Now, we have reached out to Secret Service and the White House for more information. This is all still unfolding. It is really unclear right now if anyone was injured. These gunshots, though, to be clear, appeared outside of the grounds, closer to the EOB building, which is on the west side of the White House. So while we could hear them, we're not exactly sure where these took place. Again, if anyone was injured, we are waiting on more information. But just the visual of all these reporters running in here, this happening just about a month after the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where a lot of this same group was on the ground in a situation where there was a shooter there as well. A scary moment. And
again, a lot of people in town. There was one source that had, questioned me earlier, even before we had this information. There's a lot of motorcyclists in town for the Memorial Day events. They always come for this time, and people thought it might have been, motorcycles backfiring or something like that. There's quite a cacophony of that. But this is clearly someone who came up and was firing at the direction of the White House. And the president, of course, is at the White House today.
Hey, Chad, Kevin here. If I could just get you to break down again, based on what you've heard, this person was taken down. Does that mean they have been neutralized, or do you think they sort of made physical contact with this person? I'm just trying to get some clarity there.
I was told that they were shot because the Secret Service returned fire against this individual.
Gotcha. And have you heard from any cabinet secretaries or any other high-level officials about what's happening?
Yeah. This is all we've gotten right now. It's Memorial Day weekend. People are spread to the four winds, and the reason I, always jump in on this is that, I used to cover local government, and the best stories about the county sheriff's department would come out through the county commissioners and vice versa. So when you cover Congress and something's happening in the administration, a lot of times you check in there. But I was also checking to make sure there wasn't some sort of a threat at the Capitol as well, and this led me down this road here. Now, again, to reiterate to our audience, this is what we have at this point. This is very preliminary and fragmentary. So around 6 o'clock Eastern time this afternoon, you had a gunman who came up near what is known at the Capitol as Gate 17. This is the outer perimeter around the White House. It's a rainy day in Washington. I was downtown today. Not as many people in downtown Washington as you would typically have on a Memorial Day weekend, simply because of all the weather. Very, very chilly for this time of year here. He came up on the west side of the Capitol, and he brandished a pistol and started to fire in the direction of the White House. And he got off at least three shots, we're told. And the United States Secret Service returned fire, took him down, and there was a civilian somewhere on the street who was struck by this gunfire. We don't know by whose gunfire right now. But again, to emphasize here, he never got in the general perimeter inside the White House. And when you're looking at the orientation here, you can see, and there's this ambulance in the video going by here. The Eisenhower Executive Office building is just up the street from that. So this happened kind of down, I would estimate, from the southwest corner of where that was at this stage.
Hey, Chad, it's Alicia Acuna here. You mentioned that you'd covered local politics and law enforcement there. So I'm curious, when we saw the shooting of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, there was an immediate coming to the cameras by not only the president, but also by members of law enforcement. This is a different situation here. What do you anticipate in terms of communication by law enforcement as the evening goes on? Are we going to hear from anyone? It's not really like the Secret Service, is it, that would come up and give a press conference?
Well, we wouldn't know directly, but since the Secret Service did, in fact, fire, according from these reports, it would seem that they would probably comment at some point in some format, be that on X or social media or something else. I would expect that the, D.C. police might be involved. Did they know something about this suspect, or was there some, behavior observed? There's a lot of cameras around the White House, and so they might be able to track this person's movement. You also have the police that work with the transit authority in Washington, D.C. Did he come out of the subway somewhere, the metro? Is there something like that? So these are the types of things that they will go back to start to evaluate. But primarily, I would presume that this is a Secret Service issue, but also just the fact that it's at the White House. And let me give you some context here. What this immediately reminded me of was that you had a gunman who came up to the White House, and this is where history is often our guide, in October of 1994. It was, again, a Saturday afternoon. It was a nicer day. I remember that. And came up, and he was on the other side across from Lafayette Park, the side that you always see, kind of the beauty shot of the White House from that side, and was shooting that direction and actually struck some of the windows of the White House down where the press room is. Now, this was a different.
I have another video as it happened. This is from I'm not sure what network, but you'll take a look at this here.
Memorial Day since 2022. President Trump promises the prices will go down, but his grip on Republican support on Capitol Hill is weakening.
That's absolutely terrifying. Terrifying. Wow.
Similar fashion to this. You mentioned the security presence and posture around the White House. One would expect it would be one of the most secure areas in the world, certainly in the country. So if somebody was in the vicinity and they're just shooting off, they had to have understood that they weren't going to get that close to the White House. I mean, for someone to do that and just shoot in the general direction, they had to have known that there would be a response pretty quickly. This couldn't have been somebody who thought they were getting the element of surprise here. It doesn't sound like someone very strategic.
Well, that's where I talked about what happened in 1994. This person just opened up fire on the White House on the other side. That was a completely different situation. I mean, you have had incidents down the White House where the threat has not been toward the facility itself or the president of the United States himself, where you've had local crime in Washington, D.C. You might remember when President Obama was in office, and it took them quite a while to figure this out. There had been what was alleged to be, gunfire, gun activity by gangs downtown. And I remember the Secret Service director testified that said, well, we don't know what it was. And they found out later that there had been, and this was found by a White House housekeeper, that there was a window that was broken at the White House in the Obama residence portion of the building. And I remember our colleague Trey Gowdy at the time, he was a congressman from South Carolina, and he was on the oversight committee when they had the hearing. She said, well, it was hard to see and everything. And he famously said in that hearing, can you hear at night? Meaning that it doesn't matter whether or not there was a direct threat toward the president. And they divined later that they were trying to shoot at the White House and were trying to attack the president of the United States in the case of Barack Obama. And they just kind of dismissed this as, casual gunfire in the area, as much as one can dismiss casual gunfire in downtown Washington, D.C. near the White House. And people said, we don't care what it was. This is near the White House. There should be a better response. And certainly in this case, if there was a threat or even if it wasn't, we don't know the motives of this suspect here, they certainly were able to neutralize him quickly. And that was not the case when you had this threat with the Obamas and one of the windows was actually broken then. And it took them weeks, nay, months to figure out that this was actually an attempt to kill the president of the United States.
If you are just joining us, you are looking at live pictures just outside the White House. It is on lockdown. This is very likely 17th Street, which is on the western side of the White House. You see Secret Service activity right there. Reports of gunfire. In fact, there are some reports online. We've seen video of some of the people who were actually reporting at the time of the gunfire. We are being joined by our chief congressional correspondent, Chad Pergram. Chad, if you would recap for the folks who are just joining us, what you know and what might be happening even now as we continue to watch these pictures.
Right, and the first thing that we've gotten in here from the Secret Service, you were asking me a few minutes ago about, who might put something out, that the Secret Service just a bit ago put out a statement saying, quote, "We are aware of reports of shots fired near 17th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, and we are working to corroborate the information with personnel on the ground. Additional information will be provided as it becomes available." So to the viewers just tuning in right now, what we have here, around 6 o'clock Eastern time, there was, you could hear people who were on the ground there. I wasn't there, but there was a report of gunfire near the White House. And I jumped in here because sometimes, when there's a threat at the White House or the executive branch, maybe there's something going on at the Capitol. So I started to dial in with sources there. We're told that this was on the west side of the White House grounds. Again, you have the White House, and you also have the outer perimeter there, Gate 17, as it was described to me, near the Eisenhower Executive Office building.
So let me just bring you some new information. This is from Eric Doherty. Eric Doherty says the shooter did not breach the White House perimeter. He got a few shots out, then the Secret Service lit him up. So although the gunfire, everyone's talking 20, 30, 40 shots loaded on him. The world would mean the rapid succession of shots were authorities springing into action, taking a guy down. And then it says here that a civilian outside was struck as well. Crazy, absolutely crazy. Yeah, look, at this point, it just looks as though that the gunman, I say gunman, hopefully it's not a transformer, we'll see, was taken. I don't know if he's dead or just shot, but that the flurry of guns that you heard, or shots that you heard, were the return fire. What kind of an idiot walks up to the White House with a pistol and just starts shooting, unless you're trying to do suicide by cop, which that's about it, because they're going to light you up.
She said she was recording, and then the look on her face when she ducked. I don't know if you were at the White House Correspondents' Dinner that night, but all of us, so many of us will never forget watching all of those people, all of these reporters. It's starting to feel a little dangerous just to be out by the White House or to be in the proximity of the White House and its occupants if you're a reporter.
Well, that's something that's concerned me for years. I've covered, Congress for, several decades now. I remember when, it's just not the White House, it's those of us, who report on the Capitol as well. I remember when the 2 Capitol police officers were shot and killed in 1998, certainly 9/11. You had a guy come up just a few weeks after January 6th in April of 2021 and ram the north barricade at the Capitol and severely injure one officer and kill another. The baseball practice shooting that nearly killed Steve Scalise and wounded several other people happened blocks from my house in Alexandria, Virginia. I was there pretty quickly. This happens over and over and over again in different formats, whether you were at the White House or whether you were at the Capitol. In fact, I called a White House reporter, somebody who's a friend. I don't know them unbelievably well. The day after the Correspondents' Dinner, I was not there, and I had indicated, I said, hey, I've been through this, a couple of times myself. How you doing? And so this is something that is starting to be a common denominator among those of us who cover, these installations in Washington, D.C., and also in, that would be at the Capitol, the White House. I wrote an essay some years ago that was on our website where I characterized some of what we do. We're kind of like war correspondents, frankly. We don't go to the Middle East or Asia or something like that, but here on Capitol Hill or covering a baseball practice for the Republican baseball team or whatever, these things happen. And it's terribly, rattling to have this happen over and over and over again. And I think that, the seminal question here, again, we don't know the motives of this gunman here, but was asked by Peter Doocy the night of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He said to President Trump, why does this continue to happen to you? Why do you think that happens? There have been multiple attempts on the president's life. Again, we don't know what was happening here. But, again, letting history be our guide.
So it appears as though this guy got off 3 or 4 shots, and then he got lit up by 20, 25 shots as everyone unloaded on him. And in the crossfire, one civilian was hit. No condition has been released. So 2 people shot, the bad guy and a civilian walking around were both shot. And so Absolutely crazy. And it was funny as we were listening to Fox, as the guy's saying, he goes, Peter Doocy asked Trump that question. It's a very simple answer. That simple answer is Democrats are crazy. Democrats are insane. That's the answer. That is exactly what's going on. I had a really bad feeling when I heard Hakeem Jeffries say this. And I play it a lot, but this can make somebody who's not too cool upstairs go nuts.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
And some of these nuts are taking this stuff to heart. You have to realize that this thing is a fortress. This big, giant White House is a fortress with men with bigger guns than you stationed in places you don't even know about. They might just be looking like a bush or something, plus snipers. And you think you're going to take a handgun and fire at the White House? That can only mean you're crazy. You're completely insane to think that that's even going to have any effect whatsoever.
Section of 17th and Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. Please avoid the area. So that's all we know right now. But again, the only concrete number, and this will probably change. Once they figure out, okay, what caliber of weapon he had, how many shots, was he capable of getting off? Did he actually get that many off? Sometimes they'll actually find the casings or whatever it is. This is what happens in the investigation. But that was a distinct number they gave me of 3 shots that were fired by this alleged perpetrator, but we don't know how much, fire was returned by the Secret Service.
Chad, I think one of the things we're going to be most curious about is the person who's described as a bystander or a civilian. I assume that there's some type of protocol that we're going to have to wait to hear based on identification, notifying family if the person is hurt or fatal. Is that to be expected, that it might be some time coming before we know who that is?
Well, if they took them down, one would think, and we saw at least some video there, that there was an ambulance driving away from the scene. George Washington University Hospital is not very far from the scene there. That's where President Reagan was famously shot, where he was taken after he was shot during the assassination attempt in 1981 when he was shot at the Hilton, which is where the White House Correspondents' Dinner was, about 3 or 4.
Okay, I've got a video clip. The press has been released, so they're not under lockdown anymore.
White House press briefing room. That's obviously a good sign, right, Jeffrey?
That would be a good sign. That means that the initial threat that they believed is either incapacitated or no longer present, or has been detained.
Yeah, so obviously we're still waiting to hear exactly what happened from White House officials. Obviously, our correspondent on the ground said he had heard what sounded like at least 30 gunshots. Again, not confirmed from any sort of official sourcing today whether or not it was actually gunfire. But we have Senator James Lankford weighing in, praying for the president's safety as he waits to hear more about what happened. Our News Nation national correspondent and White House correspondent Kelly Meyer just into our newsroom. FBI is on scene and supporting Secret Service, responding to shots fired near White House grounds. We will update the public as we're able to. So,
yes, it's as they say, it's fluid. It's fluid going on right now. But it seems as though the bad guy has been neutralized. The press has been released from lockdown. I'd get the hell out of there real quick. Man, absolutely. Let's continue.
On the phone for us.
I'm here.
I noticed something. If I could jump in here really quickly, Tommy. Right now we're looking at a picture. Again, this is probably I Street, just to the northwest of where most people walk in, Chad, along Pennsylvania Avenue. And I mention that because, the National Guard shooting occurred literally right along this same street, right around this same area. And again, I think it speaks to, and I'll be fair. I think, thank goodness, since the National Guard has come to town, things are clearly safer. They not just feel safer, they are safer. And yet you will have pockets of crime that do happen. You'll have instances that happen. In this particular circumstance, again, 17th is not immune to what can happen in a large city like Washington, but it's obviously heightened, in particular when we know the president has just gotten back to the White House not that long ago. We have these high-level meetings happening with the Iranians. There are a number of different ways you might interpret what has happened here today.
Okay.
Chad, can you hear me?
Yes, I got you there, Kevin. I'm sorry, we were having a little bit of a technical issue here. Pose the last bit of your question to me again, please.
Yeah, not a problem. I was just saying it's...
While he's trying to get that sound back, I've got a report here that says the perpetrator is on... Well, actually, let me back up. 2 people have been shot. One of them was a civilian. The other one was the bad guy. Doesn't say which one is which. It just says one of them is conscious and breathing, and the other one is unconscious and not breathing. So I'm not sure which one is which at this point. Which one is closer to expiring, or was it the bad guy? Hopefully it was the bad guy, and they trained their guns on him. But there's no way to know at this point.
At the White House. You're looking at that kind of, mauve building there, those are offices of the executive branch there, and further in the distance with the flagpole at the top. That's the Eisenhower Executive Office building. So you're right in that complex there. And you do have, quote, regular crime that happens in this, in downtown D.C. And that's where I remember there have been several of these incidents over the years where there's been some crime in downtown D.C. and people have heard things. One wonders if maybe they were more aggressive and more attuned to this, as maybe they should be, considering the threats to the president, considering what happened at the White House dinner, just a couple of weeks ago, consider what happened, at Mar-a-Lago, considering what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, so, and as you cite, and we see them here on the screen right now, Kevin, these are, members of the National Guard there who've been brought in to help make D.C. a little safer. Yes, there is crime in downtown urban areas all over the country here and D.C.
I have a post by Kash Patel. Kash Patel has posted, and he says, FBI is on the scene and supporting Secret Service responding to shots fired near the White House grounds. We will update the public as we are able.
To D.C. a handful of times. I've seen the outside of the White House as a tourist, but I've never been there as a reporter. So I don't know the area very well, and I'm sure there are Americans all over the country who don't know this particular block very well. You talk about office complexes and such and the security posture right now. Do people live there? Like, do normal people live right around in this area, or is it just offices and law enforcement and very official things?
It's not as residential in that immediate area, the few blocks there. But if you were to go just to the west there, if you were, say, at the Eisenhower Executive Office building and going west, you start to get into some apartments there. You certainly get into where some students live in dormitories at George Washington University. But you're in pretty much downtown D.C., and there are more apartments if you were to go further to the east, further to the west. But that area there's not much. There's law offices, there's some businesses, there's lobbying firms, there's the famous K Street, which is not far from there.
I'm going to have to get a doctor on call or something. How many times, and some of you guys have been watching, at this point, well, shit's gone crazy. I mean, obviously we were broadcasting during Butler. Obviously we were broadcasting during the White House Correspondents' Dinner. All this stuff keeps happening. I mean, it's insane. And most of the time we've been live and you guys have been here watching. Like, are you serious? Did somebody just take a shot? Yep, here we go again. And it's funny, it takes hours to find out who the perps are. I mean, they know who the names are probably right now. They know who it is. Let us know who these crazy people are, because we're probably going to find out. Yeah, no doubt. But it's getting beyond tiresome having to wonder. Now, it gets to the point now, every time he speaks, we watched the rally yesterday, every time he speaks, we all sit there and go, hope he gets through this. Hey, don't shake their hands. Stay behind. Tell me if you guys feel the same way. Every time he has a rally or has a speech, we all sit there and just, come on, get through this. And I think some of this is designed. We got a report here. Hold on.
This entire area blocked off for blocks outside of the White House. There is a similar scene to what you're seeing behind me. So section tape put up to prevent people from walking up closer to the White House. We're also seeing a large presence of Secret Service lining the streets. Basically, every street around here looks like this. You have caution tape, police cars. The D.C. Police, they're urging anyone in the area to avoid this area because not only are the streets blocked off, but even pedestrians cannot get any closer to the White House and where we are. So we're just 1 block away from the White House. This is 18th and Penn, but still here, police, Secret Service, preventing anyone from getting a little bit closer. As a result, there's a lot of media that are here trying to give you exactly this layout of the scene of what we're seeing play out. But there's, as Chad had mentioned as well, there's a lot of people who are coming by very curious to see what's going on. It's a holiday weekend, so a lot of people are already out and about despite the rain that continues. A lot of people are out here this weekend. And of course, coming near the White House would be a logical place to come visit on a holiday weekend. So we do know that this is an active investigation, that the police are working with Secret Service. And this is an area, of course, has a heavy police presence to begin with. So to be reporting right now as we're waiting for more information about these shots fired near the perimeter of the White House, of course, we know that more reinforcements will be on the way. We've been seeing different police cars come and go, members of the Secret Service come and go. Right now, it appears that there's not a lot of movement at this one location where I'm standing, but when I was moving around at some of the different blocks, we really did see a similar scene of just car after car, making sure that no one gets closer to the White House at this point. As journalists, we're able to be there at the White House, covering day in, day out what takes place. When something like this happens, the entire area goes on a complete lockdown. It was last month when there were also shots fired near the White House. As a result, the White House went on lockdown until the following morning. So that's inevitably something that we could see take place in the hours to come as this investigation continues. But again, police right now are telling anyone, if you are in D.C., if you're in the area, to try to stay away. Tommy?
Alex, we're seeing a lot of footage on social media, reporters from other networks doing live shots, as you were doing with us not too long ago, talking, of course, about the other big news of the day, the Iran potential peace deal. Where were you when these shots were fired? Can you take us into those moments and give us an idea of what you were experiencing?
Yeah, so our team was not at the White House anymore. After we talked with you, we were no longer there. Of course, when something like this happens, just as we're seeing this sea of journalists right here.
Just letting some of you guys know who may have just tuned in and going, what the hell's going on? There were shots fired at the White House. I mean, at the White House, not just a location, at the White House itself. A man with a pistol decided to open up on the White House. He took, from what everyone is saying, 3 shots, maybe 4 shots. Secret Service returned fire, lit the guy up, and also a bystander was also hit with a bullet. So everyone's estimation said there may be 30, 40 shots in total were fired, but only 3 or 4 of them supposedly came from the gunman. The rest was everybody returning fire and unleashing on the guy. At this point, it says 1 person is unconscious and not breathing. Don't know whether that's the perp or the civilian, and the other person is conscious and breathing. So that's what we know at this point.
We have here, and I don't think that this is a scene that's going to be breaking down anytime soon. It seems like this is a posture that we'll likely see for at least a few more hours, if not more. Tommy.
Alex Hogan, and for good reason. We so appreciate you coming back to give us this live reporting, and we're going to ask you to stand by. Joining us now by phone is former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker. Chris, it's great to have you on the phone. Thanks for jumping in there for us. Can you kind of break down what you've heard so far and give us your perspective?
Yeah, so the White House is located at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and apparently shots were fired at 17th in Pennsylvania. And it was, from what I have read and heard, it's dozens of shots. So what we know is that there were dozens of shots fired at close proximity to the White House. Now, everybody knows that President Trump is at the White House this weekend. He pretty much made a public statement that he wasn't going to his son's wedding. He would be home or at the White House this weekend, so it's no secret that he's there. We don't know whether the White House was targeted or whether this was a random shooting. It is Washington, D.C., after all. So a lot of facts need to be developed here. We don't want to jump to any conclusions, but you can imagine the response in that area where you have almost all government buildings, all kinds of Federal Protective Service people there, Secret Service responding. FBI is at 10th in Pennsylvania. They're responding, and local police are responding. So this is going to be a very active crime scene for quite a while, and we don't know where the shooter is.
It's Alicia Acuna. I have one quick question here. You mentioned how it had been out there that the president was going to be there this weekend. We right now don't know who the suspect is, right? So we don't know the motive here. It's just really hard to ignore. I feel like it's just kind of sitting over all of us here. The fact that these very important negotiations are going on at the exact same time as this is going on. We are hearing that it's possible that they've reached a deal. We are hearing it's possible there's going to be an announcement. And then we see this event unfold at the White House. Could be completely unrelated, but it also could be related.
You can't rule it out. I mean, in this highly charged political atmosphere that we're in right now, where rhetoric is taken as a call to action by people who are unbalanced. We've seen this time and time again over the last year or so, where people have responded to that irresponsible call to action by so-called leaders and politicians. So we don't know, but we do know that this is in very close proximity to the White House. And the president is probably in the White House. And we also know that no one can get in there. I mean, this is a symbolic attack or attempt, if at all, an attempt on the president. So we'll see what happens here. The FBI will have primary jurisdiction if there's even a hint that someone was trying to get in the White House and get at the president. But that we're in the fog of war right now. We'll get more facts as this develops. But again, here we are. Some obviously unhinged individual is shooting up the White House.
Hey, Chris, it's Kevin Cork. We've just gotten word that the lockdown has been lifted by the White House. That's obviously good news. I'm just curious about the command center moving forward. When something like this happens, you have...
Okay, so they're a little bit behind because I showed you that the White House lockdown has been lifted. So President Trump is safe. He's under no current threat. What I'm going to do is check to see if they're going to hold a press conference. If they do, we'll cut to it. Might be too soon with all the information you're trying to get. Usually those press conferences don't come for like hours. So I'm going to jump back to the show for a little bit, unless you guys say in a comment to keep this on. That's what I'll do. Let me know if you want me to jump back into Ivanka, or do you want me to keep this on? In the interim, I'll let you guys check this out.
Into one place, and that's really critical, because the tendency is, as each agency responds, they start feeding information into their own agencies. So as soon as and this would be the FBI's incident command in conjunction with the Metropolitan Police, D.C. Metropolitan Police. So because it is the White House, it would probably be the FBI initially in command, and they will tactfully work with all the local and federal departments that are responding. But the challenge here is just get all the information into one place so you can get a picture of what's happened.
Chris, Tom Shalhoub, so I guess this perimeter has been lifted. Our reporter, Alex Hogan, she was at the corner of 18th and Penn. You say the shooting occurred at 17th and Penn, and that's basically the corner of the White House grounds, basically. Yep. So I'm assuming that our reporter, who was at the White House, left the White House and then could not get back in. She couldn't get any closer than 18th and Penn. But if you were on the White House lawn reporting at the time, that perimeter would mean you're not free to go. So some people were locked in and some were locked out. Am I right?
Yeah, that's what I have heard, that the initial reports were 17th and Penn. Reporters were quickly on the grounds, were quickly ushered into the press room. But, that's not, again, it's the fog of war. Facts are sketchy at this point. It could have been 18th and Penn. It's a question of one side of the block or the other. From my understanding of that area, I've walked up and down that area. FBI headquarters is right down the street. But, again, we're just going to have to wait for some coherent reports. And the agencies themselves may not know at this point.
Chris, it's Alicia again. If you consider the fact that it's Memorial Day weekend and we have celebrations that are going to be in our nation's capital over the next couple of days, how does the security posture change? Does it change at all after this?
I think it's already very, very high in terms of high alert. This will jack it up incrementally because, this, again, could be a random shooting. It is Washington, D.C. It happens all the time, but not in that particular area. So you can bet that all the federal agencies and the local police department and the park police will all be in an extremely heightened state of alert.
Chris, I just want to put this in perspective for our audience. I've mentioned this a couple of times, but anytime something happens, you go to social media and you get a lot of misinformation.
Okay, while they're waiting on that, I'm going to jump back into Ivanka because amazingly it dovetails off of what you're seeing right now. So as I was showing you in the New York Post, Iraqi guy decided he was going to take out Ivanka. He said to be a high-ranking figure in Iraq terror circles. He was arrested in Turkey on May 15th. So a couple of days ago, like a week ago, they already arrested him knowing this was going on, where he's charged with 18 attacks and attempted attacks throughout Europe and the United States. He's been behind attacks on U.S. and Jewish targets, including the firebombing of the Bank of New York. So what you're probably thinking, it's probably what I was thinking. Then why the hell is this guy even allowed to be free? If he was involved in all these different attacks and he had been known to be one of these guys, which countries let him move around? Thankfully, Turkey cooperated and got him arrested.
So per the New York Post, the man behind this plot was an Iraqi national who the Justice Department had arrested earlier this month for his alleged ties to Kataib Hezbollah and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The New York Post reports Mohammed al-Saadi had targeted Ivanka Trump to avenge the killing of his mentor, top Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, in 2020. A former deputy military attaché in the Iraqi embassy tells the Post, after Qasem was killed, al-Saadi went around telling people, "We need to kill Ivanka to burn down the house of Trump the way he burned down our house." Al-Saadi reportedly had a blueprint of Ivanka's Florida home and even...
You know what's very interesting about this to me is Ivanka's not even involved in politics. She's raising her kids. Yes, Jared is involved in negotiations, but they were getting ready to try and strike an innocent person, which tells you they don't consider anybody in Trump's orbit to be, innocent. If you're around Trump, I guess it's maximum warfare over there as well. They wanted to kill his daughter, and I guess they've been watching him for some time. They got the chance to arrest him.
Posted a photo of their house online saying, "I say to the Americans, look at this picture and know that neither your palaces nor the Secret Service will protect you. We are currently in the stage of surveillance and analysis. I told you, our revenge is a matter of time." The Secret Service says the Secret Service does not confirm or comment on matters involving protective intelligence. The Secret Service closely monitors information and intelligence related to any potential threat against those under our protection. In the complaint released on May 15th, the Justice Department laid out what they said was al-Saadi's close relationship with Soleimani, even showing photos of the two together. Al-Saadi is accused of urging others to attack U.S. and Israeli interests. Over the last several months, he allegedly planned and coordinated at least 18 terrorist attacks in Europe and 2 attacks in Canada. Al-Saadi is due back in court May 29th.
All right, so this is why it's important to you to understand this as well, because there are a lot of people already on X. The first line of defense that all these libtards try to do is to tell you it's a setup. I don't believe it happened. President Trump set this entire thing up as a distraction to make sure that he can negotiate with blah, 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 blah. Every single time, that's what they say. I already saw it today myself, how they were trying to denigrate this and say it wasn't happening when it indeed happened. You have the information now where the guy actually put it on Twitter. How can you set that up when this idiot decides he's going to broadcast, yeah, we need to kill, Ivanka?
a remarkable effort by our FBI, Director Patel leadership, and our international partners. And we were able to intercept and get in the middle of this man's attempts to wreak havoc and terrorize not only the United States, Canada, Europe. And so we were able to introduce an undercover, working with our law enforcement partners.
All right, before I get back to Todd Blanche, somebody asked a very interesting question. And I wanted to take it. It says, Bear, the best dog ever, says, how would he get a blueprint of her home? Very strange. Nope, not at all strange. In fact, not sure where you live or what kind of house you live in, but if you have a relatively new house, say like the last 10 years, the blueprints were probably filed with the city or county planner's office. You just can't put a tractor in the ground and start digging and building a house. You have to provide the blueprints. And so you start digging around on city planners' websites, you're going to have a whole bunch of information. You will actually see the blueprints for the houses in your area. Now, again, if your house is old, maybe your house is 50, 60 years old, they may not have them on file, but there is a development anywhere near you where the houses are just being built, or let's say 10 years old or younger, you'll be able to pull up on your county or city's planner the actual blueprints that they submitted to get approved to build that house. Now, this house that she's living in was built way before her and Jared moved in, but when it was built, obviously in the city of Miami or Miami-Dade County, they had to provide the blueprints. It's amazing what you can find online at this point if you know where to look. So these people had to have already, like he wasn't lying, he had to have done surveillance because he had to know the address. Once you know the address, then the rest is easy. Once you can find out, okay, it's at 123 Main Street, you can look up 123 Main Street, then go to the county or city planner's office, just scroll through that online, and boom, there's a blueprint. It's scary what kind of information is out there.
So I think what our U.S. attorney just said is dead on, that President Trump's leadership around the world allows us to have the credibility and the partnerships to allow us to work with folks overseas. And that's what happened here. So he was brought here and appeared in court earlier today. And it is on the one hand, should be very alarming to the people in this country that there are men around the world trying to exact this sort of terror. On the other hand, it shows the success of good law enforcement work and good police work and working hard to protect our borders, which is what we do every single day. And so this investigation is ongoing. It's just a complaint. I expect the next steps will be an indictment, and obviously we're still investigating and going to make sure that anybody that was involved with him will be brought to justice as well.
Was he picked up in Iraq, and when was he brought to the United States?
He was recently brought to the United States. I want to be careful talking about the operation so I don't put anybody in danger, but it's enough to say that this was an effort that included not only the FBI, but our law enforcement partners overseas as well.
Yeah. I wanted you to hear that last bit there. Here's why. He was picked up by the people in Turkey on May 15th. Today is May 23rd. Sometime in the last 8 days, this guy landed here in the United States. He landed here in the United States in our custody, whether it be FBI or CIA. He landed here in custody. So they've had him, which means they've probably been interrogating him. And if they've been interrogating him, they may have already uncovered some other information. So what I'm saying, or what I said earlier, is with all this going on, we're supposed to believe that President Trump went like this and said, Iran, you can have whatever you want. You can have control. You don't have to turn over the nuclear dust. Here's billions of dollars. I don't want to fight with you guys anymore. Is that what we're supposed to believe? Is that what we're supposed to believe? Hell no. Hell no, I'm not buying it. I think every single one of you that has a daughter or even a son knows if somebody went as far to pull the plans of your house, your son or daughter's house, I don't want to negotiate with the people that you stand for. In fact, I just want to start pushing some buttons, but we shall see. In any event, I see some questions here. People have been asking, what the hell is going on at the White House? Well, at the White House tonight at about 6 o'clock, a gunman decided he was going to pop shots at the actual White House. Unfortunately for him, he had a pistol and he had to meet all the guys in the Secret Service who had their long guns. He fired off 3 or 4 shots is what we're hearing. They unleashed a barrage of bullets on him. He was hit, and also a civilian was hit as well. Don't know the condition of either one. Nothing's been confirmed, but at this point, they've released the lockdown, and I don't know where President Trump is, if he's still in the White House with J.D. Vance. I understood that Pete Hegseth was on his way back to D.C., so there's a lot going on right now. Let's head back in and listen.
President Trump is safe. Endless gratitude to the Secret Service for their immediate heroic response. Political violence has to stop. And I make mention of that because you're not sure when a circumstance like this happens. Is it overtly political? As you pointed out, we've seen this happen over the many years, and yet it is inescapable that there appears to be a politically violent culture that has been sweeping our nation, unfortunately, certainly for the past 10 years, unlike anything I've seen since the 1960s. As you continue to sort of unpack what you've observed, not just today, but in the recent past, is that your perspective? And I'm sure you share the concerns that many on Capitol Hill have, some of your colleagues, about political violence.
Well, I used to teach for my university, my alma mater here in Washington for more than 20 years, and I used to tell my students, who are coming from Oxford, Ohio, I said, this is the most dangerous building in the world, meaning the Capitol.
Yeah.
It has a target on it. And, the fourth plane from 9/11 was after the CIA took several years, but finally concluded that, in fact, that plane was due to hit there. And I said, you have to be, consider this reality a little bit about what's going on down, whether it be the White House or be it the Capitol or something like that, we live in that environment. Here's the other thing that's important, Kevin. We don't know what the motives here were. I want to be very clear about that. But we do have this culture of political violence. I covered the baseball practice shooting of Steve Scalise. I covered, January 6th.
Okay, so they just released some information. The actual shooter is in critical condition after being shot by Secret Service, and the civilian bystander is in serious condition.
It happened over and over and over. We've had other political figures. There were threats against Marjorie Taylor Greene, people sending pizzas to people's homes saying, aha, we know where you live, pizzas that they didn't order, just to kind of freak them out. This happens all the time. The Capitol Police will tell you that the number of threats that they have, it has been over the past several years, although it is down a little bit, has been historically at an off the Richter scale level. And, I spent a lot of time in Scotland and been to Northern Ireland, and you look at the history of political violence there. Here was a major westernized democracy, the United Kingdom, and for about 40 years or so, they had political violence, bombings and shootings and assassinations.
Yeah.
The Troubles, absolutely. It was remarkable until it was worked out in the late 1990s. And I think in the United States, sometimes we are a little inured to the fact that this happens. But again, the fact that there have been so many attempts to kill the President of the United States. There was the baseball practice shooting. There was, all these, just wrap this all together. We have a political violence problem in this country. Again, to be clear, we don't know what this was all about today.
Certainly, Chad, and we thank you for your excellent reporting, keeping everyone informed on the latest. And for more, we're going to bring back Alex Hogan live outside the White House. Alex, what is happening now?
Hi, Tommy. So a couple updates from my end here. So just to set the stage, we first got a lid from the White House around 5 p.m. A lid is when the White House will announce that we don't expect to see the president or hear from the president again today. So that was around 5 p.m. Now, these reports of shots fired took place around 6:15, and we just received word that we do not expect the White House to lift that lid, meaning we don't expect to hear or see from the president. Despite all of this taking place, some questions as to, what would change as a result of this. But we, again, do not expect to hear from the president tonight. We all know that that could always change depending on whether or not we hear from him on Truth Social. But that's what we're hearing as of right now. Now, another change that we've seen just in the last several minutes. So the police presence has not changed. We've been seeing members of the Secret Service and members of the police come and go. However, as it pertains to the lockdown information, we were told that lockdown has lifted. When we talk to members of the police and Secret Service here, they say that they don't have that information. They are still being told to not let anyone through. There were journalists who were still at the White House at the time of all of this unfolding. They initially didn't have any guidance as to whether or not they would be able to leave the White House. We're now learning that they can leave, but they're being told that they have to leave through a specific exit. So as of right now, as of where we are, just one block from where this all happened, the members of the Secret Service are still not letting people come and go, and they say that they're going to be here still for a while. So we'll continue to watch that on our end. Of course, a lot of questions as to what exactly happened and the motive behind all of this, and whether or not this was planned out, what exactly took place. For right now, again, D.C. police telling anyone in the area to avoid coming here. Of course, there's a lot of onlookers, a lot of curiosity and concern as we're hearing from more members of the government who are reaching out, saying that they're just happy to know that no one within the White House was hurt. Tommy.
Certainly. Alex, thank you so much for your reporting, keeping us up to date. And joining us now for more reaction is Missouri Congressman Eric Burleson. Congressman, we were going to have you on a different topic, but now we've got you, of course, to react to some of this breaking news. Can you give us your initial reaction when you saw, yet again, we don't know motive, we don't know everything, but more disturbing news that we've got shots fired near the White House?
Yeah, sadly, we have another gunman in proximity of the President of the United States. Thank goodness we have some of the greatest law enforcement officials and Secret Service there to protect him during these difficult times. And I think that it's important that we recognize that political violence isn't acceptable. It's time that we tone down the rhetoric and make sure that that's no longer something that's acceptable.
Yeah, Congressman, I've been reading over some of the notes that I've been getting, obviously, as I've been watching the reports come in, and I'm struck to sort of piggyback off of what you just said by some of the language that we've seen utilized by political operatives and actually office holders. I mean, I just heard a soundbite earlier today where a Democrat suggested that because the DOJ was setting aside money for those who are victimized by the weaponization of our government, that the president had henchmen. You heard just the other day a Democratic representative call for eliminating the president of the United States from office right now. When you hear things like that, it again underscores the tone that's been unfortunately enveloping D.C. for the last several years. And I think this is, again, we're not certain of the motivation here. I think Tommy very aptly points that out. But again, we are in an environment where that's the first thing you think of, in particular, given what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
That's right. And look, there's shootings that happen in Washington, D.C. often. It's just the nature of that being a large city, but not generally in that location, especially at the corner of the White House. That begs the question, was this politically motivated? It likely was politically motivated. And you've got to ask, why are we continuing to hear from, violent leftists? Why do we continue to hear from people who are fanning the flames of this violence and this and using rhetoric that spurs people on? When we saw all of these attempts on the president's life, we've seen violent shootings that have occurred against other elected officials. I'll tell you that my colleagues, every time one of these events happen, we get on a call with the sergeant of arms, and generally speaking, many of my colleagues beg for more security and more presence for our families and for us, because things are just different today.
Congressman, it's Alicia Acuna here. On this idea about political violence, again, reiterating, we don't know who the suspect was. We don't know the motive.
No, I love how they give the disclaimers at this point when the odds are because we've seen so many of them. We haven't seen MAGA or Republicans or anybody else doing it but Transformers and the people from over there who eat beans. We don't hear it, but everyone has to be so cautious. Everyone has to say, you know, it's not what you think it is until you find out it is what you think it is. Every single time. I'm pretty sure what they're doing right now is they found out who the person is. They're going through their social media. They're searching their property. They're going to see everything they've done, who they've talked to. They've got their phone records. And we know, well, we can't say we know, but we're pretty sure what they're going to find out. I say that because it's often underscored by the fact of it is now 7:45, so we're an hour and 45 minutes into this. And at this point, you had Ivanka Trump threatened, guy captured, guy takes some shots today, and I challenge you, go look on Chuck Schumer's X page. Go look on Hakeem Jeffries. Go look on Elizabeth Warren. Go look on AOC. Go look on Kamala Harris. Crickets. Nothing. There's nothing that they will offer up. As of about 2 minutes ago, I checked a couple of them, but I encourage you to check as well. People often say, what can we do? Expose them. Hey, AOC, we just had another shooting in Washington, D.C. this time. It seemingly is an attempt on the president. You got anything to say? And of course, you know what their response will be. Gun control. We got to take guns away from everybody. How about we just take it from you nuts? Because eventually what's going to happen is what happened at this White House where the good guys took down the bad guys. What happens when it's a football game, a picnic, a concert, and people carrying start lighting people up? Because there's no way we're going to wait to find out what his, quote, intentions or his motive. The only motive I care about is I've got someone I love near me, and I want to make sure we make it home, which means the bad guy, if you pull something out, you're going to get lit up. And so right now, there are so many people looking to, wait, is it a Democrat? Is it a Republican? I don't know what political party it is, but what I do know, it's a psycho. It is somebody who snapped, who's had it, and more than likely, it's probably a libnut, but we can't be sure. But what we can be sure is that we need to start putting people back in insane asylums. All these people who are homeless, all these people who lopped off their junk and are going, they don't need to be walking the street amongst us. That's not being prejudicial. The data is right there. We can see it over and over. Oh, the manifesto, the manifesto, the manifesto. They keep telling us, hey, we're crazy. But nobody's willing to say, okay, we're going to have to open up these buildings again. We're going to have to put you guys in them and feed you oatmeal and some sort of like pill. And hopefully the psychedelics that'll rip out your brain or doing a lobotomy or something. But we got to get them off the street. That's not being prejudicial. I don't care who they are, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, if people are going crazy like this, because this is a suicide mission. This guy didn't plan this out thing. He didn't think, like, I'm going to go walk up to the White House. It is probably, I don't know, 300 yards away from the street. And I'm going to take out a pistol. And I'm going to start shooting at the most secure building in the world. And I think I'm going to hit Trump. Meanwhile, the only thing you're going to get is a barrage of stuff coming back at you. They're going to light you up. If you've done any reconnaissance, you're like, wait a second. So if I come over here and shoot, all those people over here and the guys on the roof, they're going to light me up, aren't they? Yep. They're not going to ask any questions. They're not going to say, hey, try to wing them. Let's see if we can find out what's wrong. Can we help rehabilitate them? No, their job is to take you out. So this was obviously somebody we're going to find out unstable, because nobody in their right mind would walk up to the White House and start taking shots. So let's go ahead and say that's a given right now. It is an absolute given that we're talking about somebody who's bat poop crazy. Since we know that's what it is, and if this person survives, they need to go to a home and be locked away for, quite some time. Then again, could have been some sort of a MK Ultra craziness.
Of it, make sure that there isn't a conspiracy, no one else is involved, providing material support, and take it from there.
James, it's Alicia Acuna. Good to talk to you here. You mentioned that whoever does this, they're going to know what they're getting themselves into. I mean, does it lend itself to suicide by cop type of situation? Someone who maybe needed help?
Sure. I mean,
maybe. Wait. Maybe needed help. It's the same thing as if my little 12-pound Chihuahua decided he wanted to take on a Great Dane. You're gonna get ate. The dog is gonna eat you and rip you to shreds. It's the same thing as some 5'2" guy walking up to a bouncer and taking a swing at him. You're gonna get destroyed. You walk up to the White House, and yes, most assuredly, you may not be thinking suicide by cop, but you have to realize at this point, they're going to light you up. And if you watch too much TV, they're not looking to hit you in the knee. They're looking to take you out. I love how they use the word neutralize. It's such a nice look. We neutralize the subject. No, you blew his head off. That's what you wanted to do.
Of ideological fluidity, where it's kind of tough to put together. Somebody could be mad at one politician, but not really claim a political fealty or ideological bent. And then there's just nihilists, people that just want to, cause anarchy or just hurt people or something like that. So way too soon, obviously. The most important thing right now is to make sure that anybody that was hurt, any of the good guys that were hurt, are getting the care that they need. Make sure we preserve the crime scene. If the perpetrator is still alive, they're certainly going to be asking him questions and trying to make some type of determination on what he was trying to do, and then preserve the evidence on the scene.
James, for those that are visiting Washington, D.C. this weekend for Memorial Day festivities, obviously the weather is going to be a barrier for some, but others are still going to be there. And they've now had this incident. A lot of onlookers, wondering what's going on. We know that there's still obvious.
Okay, so I know we're talking about the shooting, but I have to share this with you. This is pure gold, and specifically what I was telling you about earlier about people making rash judgments as to what's going on with the negotiations. I showed you this earlier. This was from Mike Pompeo. The deal being floated with Iran seems straight out of the Wendy Sherman, Robert Malley, Ben Rhodes, those are all Obama people, playbook. Pay the IRGC to build. That's what Mike Pompeo had to say. And I don't know if you guys know who Stephen Chung is, but Stephen Chung is one of the communications team people. He works very closely with Caroline Leavitt. He said this, and I can't even read it. Mike Pompeo has no idea what the F he's even talking about. He should shut his stupid mouth and leave the real work to the professionals. He's not read into anything that's happening, so how would he know? Bingo! Take that with you as you leave and understand everybody out there is merely talking crap. If you're not in that circle, you have no idea. And so for Mike Pompeo to say something like this, I gotta love it. I gotta love, what's his position? Stephen Chung, Assistant to the President and White House Director of Communications. That's him. And he just called out Mike Pompeo and said, you don't know what the F you're even talking about. That just goes to show you, these people don't have a clue. Not a clue. It's comical at this point. We got to wait till Trump tells us. Let him cook. Let him cook. Back to this.
About an Arundel, Kevin, and I'm sure the president's actually probably frustrated because he would rather be talking about the excitement of that potential. But it looks like the good news is that the scene has been, somewhat opened. The White House is not on lockdown anymore. The journalists are allowed to leave. So that's all good news. Of course, not the day we expected to have, but considering the situation, it feels like they handled it very quickly and effectively.
I couldn't have said it better. I think what really I take away from this is, first of all, we are in an environment where the rhetoric often can lead to circumstances like this. Again, understanding that we don't know exactly what the motivation may have been in this circumstance, but it's not like they were selling Girl Scout cookies. I mean, it's at the White House. I mean, I think you can put two and two together. Again, we'll have to get more information, but I want to just say this one thing, and that is hats off to the law enforcement who've been keeping not just the White House safe, but all the citizens in and around D.C. and the visitors, as you point out, a lot of folks in town. Thanks to them for doing what they could in a harrowing situation, which even as we watch these pictures, which many of us have seen online, not exactly an easy day when there's gunfire near you. You don't know how you'll react, but it appears, at least right now, that things are a bit more quiet than they were at around 6:12 tonight.
Tom Shalhoub, President obviously still working away. We heard from Alex Hogan earlier that they're not lifting the lid, that they're going to probably proceed with the important discussions that they have. We're watching a lot of these images. What do you make of what we've seen tonight and how effectively law enforcement has been able to secure the scene?
Well, I think, just like what happened with the White House Correspondents' Dinner, there's a lot of chaos at first, and then you take a look and you think, okay, it's interesting, and the way they behaved. Looks like things worked out. The president had a lot of good things to say about the Secret Service. He wanted to reassure everyone they did a great job after White House Correspondents' Dinner. I think he's going to want to say the same.
I'm sorry. I am just getting a kick out of people on X trying to be authoritative and posting the most insane stuff. You're not going to believe this one. Yeah, I just so you guys know, just to watch out who you follow. It says Iran is now publicly claiming that U.S. officials told them that Trump's tweets are mostly for promotional and media consumption. Meaning, while Trump tells Americans nuclear restrictions are the red line, his own team is reportedly telling Tehran to ignore him. So this guy is posting that Iran has said the tweets and True Social don't mean anything, and his team is telling people to ignore him. Man, I just can't with these people anymore.
Still see that there's a large police presence here. This involves the FBI, Secret Service, and of course D.C. police. So the White House telling us that there was a preliminary investigation at this point that indicates that an individual approached, he removed a weapon from his bag, and he began firing at police officers. Secret Service police officers then returned fire, striking that suspect, who was later transported to an area hospital where he later died. During the shooting, a bystander was also struck by gunfire. So the White House press team at this point telling us that it's really unclear if the bystander was struck by the suspect's initial gunfire or during the subsequent exchange of gunfire. So some big breaking news there from the White House. And also one thing that we're learning from the White House, there were no injuries to members of the Secret Service, any of the personnel there. The president, again, was at the White House. We were continuing to follow all of the latest developments in a lot of these high-stakes meetings that he held today with members, the leaders of many of the countries in the Middle East, as the White House continues to try to push forward this new deal with Iran, and more details of that will come out tomorrow. So this,
I have a public service announcement for any of you who may not have had any experience with firearms. Maybe buy one now and at least take it to a range so you understand what they sound like. So this poor woman, she's a reporter in Washington, D.C., and you just have to, I'm sorry, the comic relief here, you just have to see her response. And we could talk about it, but it's absolutely crazy. Watch this. What's that? Honey, duck. Hit the ground. What's that? And she turns around to look at where the shots are coming from. I'm watching this going, you got to be kidding me. What's that?
what is that?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. What is that? I'm sorry. She must be from like some city where there's no. What is that? It's called gunshots, and you shouldn't be standing up looking around for what they are. There's a whole bunch of them, too. Oh, my gosh.
What is that?
Sounds like
Today, but this obviously comes just a couple of weeks after a shooting at the White House correspondence.
Okay, I don't know what network that is. Don't send her out to be an on-the-spot reporter. She ain't ready for it. Not ready. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, let's play it again. It's only 20 seconds. Show this to your friends, your family, your wives.
What is that?
Today, but this obviously comes just a couple of weeks after a shooting at the White House.
I'm like, is this AI? This can't be real. What is that? Tell your kids, tell your family. You start hearing noise like rapid fire like that, duck, hit the ground, do something. I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh, it's too much.
More details are expected soon. The agreement reportedly would reopen the Strait of Hormuz, ease restrictions on Iranian ports and assets. It would also begin at least a 30-day period for further talks on Iran's nuclear program, including the future of its enriched uranium stockpile. Stay with Fox News for the latest on all of these stories. Life, Liberty, and Levin starts now.
All right, so they're off of the coverage. They've dropped it. They've gone into just regular programming. Somebody goes, look, I wouldn't recognize the sound of gunfire either. Somebody says, in her defense, the shot were echoing, which may have altered the sounds. True. In any event, treat your family, teach your loved ones what to do if they hear that kind of information. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's too much. All right. So they've cut from their live coverage. I guess they consider it everything over. So let me close up here by doing a, what do I got here? I've got a Saturday edition of the Libtard Zone. Maybe we'll finish with some comic relief here, and you guys can go about your way on Saturday and enjoy yourselves.
No man should ever enter where we are going. Beware what lurks in the depths of the Libtard Zone.
Number 10.
Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez, who has endorsed you, he wants to explore ways to let non-citizens vote in city elections. I know that there are some cities that already do this, but politics is all about timing. With Donald Trump in the White House, is this the right time for Los Angeles to go down this path?
So you're running in a mayoral race in one of the biggest cities in the country. You got a strong challenger in Spencer Pratt. And Politico asks you, hey, what do you think about having illegals vote in the election? I don't think there's a better layup. This is one that it's 100% efficiency. You should never lose this. It's like a slam dunk. She misses it.
Well, I think we need to explore it. Now, I've not seen exactly what he's calling for. I have a little familiarity of what happens in other cities. And for example, some cities will allow people to vote in like city council and school board elections because they pay.
All right. So she wants to explore letting newcomers vote in the election. But more importantly, why I've been telling you, you got to go and make sure you're registered to vote and make sure you vote in every race, including dog catcher. She just told you why. School boards, local things, we're already putting illegals in there. We're already letting them vote there. I'm like, you just said that out loud. You just realized everybody can hear what you, in case you missed it, you might want to hear her say it again, because that's what stunned me.
And for example, some cities will allow people to vote in like city council and school board elections because
I don't want somebody who ain't supposed to be here on my kid's school board. And she just let the cat out the bag. They are, in some cities, we're letting, you can vote for city council and on the school board, but they're not supposed to be in this country. It's never stopped us before.
they pay local taxes, but they are not necessarily undocumented. They might be here completely legally, but have not finished the citizenship process. So
that would be illegal. Wow, these people, not only are they brazen, they're extremely stupid. Absolutely brain dead. You said they're not even waiting anymore. Now they're just going ahead and telling you what they want to see happen.
We'll wait and see.
Number 9.
Absolutely. I mean, not one promise has been kept to Black Americans in this country when every bit of prosperity you enjoy was built on our backs.
Okay. So I know a lot of you white people are sitting back going, what is this crazy bald-headed woman talking about? That you've been, anything you have right now was made, stop, Lily, anything you have right now was made on the backs of Black people. I find it hard. I'm Black and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? None of you out here making videos. None of you out here buying houses. None of you out here renovating houses. None of you. Unless, and if you are, I'm paying you to do it. If you're painting a roof or you're doing something, I'm cutting you a check for your services. I'm not doing it and then whipping you and putting you in a stockade and make you, go bail some hay. What in the hell are you talking about? And by the way, none of you ever baled any hay. None of you were even slaves. I doubt any of you ever known any slaves. But you're telling everybody in America at this point, you're telling every person, white, Black, Hispanic, that if you have any money, if you've done anything successful, you did it on the backs of Black people. Wow. Oh, it gets better though. It gets better.
100 years of labor for free, and we never got our 40 acres and a mule.
Well, if it happened for 400 years, it's too late then, isn't it, honey? The people who might have made these so-called promises, you think, they're not here anymore. 400 years? By the way, that country doesn't even exist anymore. Because the people who were doing stuff on the back of Black people, that was the Confederacy, which, guess what? They ain't here anymore. So unless you want some Confederate dollars, you can have all the Confederate dollars you want. All the people who were in the Confederacy that supposedly had slaves, which you're going to say everybody did, give her some Confederate dollars and tell her to shut the hell up.
And we are still, harmed by practices like redlining and appraisal bias.
All right. Now you're in my wheelhouse, girl. There ain't no appraisal bias. There ain't no redlining. A, nobody wants to live in the hood. B, nobody wants to lend any money in the hood. Appraisal bias, there ain't no value in the hood. What do you want us to do? Lie and say, hey, that tenement looking right there, that's got to be worth 3 times what it was last year. Anybody want to buy it? No. You guys would be. I think what I'm going to do is take a video and show you what the prices of houses are in the hood down here, in the opportunity zone, and when I show you the property and the house, we'll go in, take a quick video, and I tell you how much this thing cost. Every single one of you, 100%, superlative, every single one of you would say, hell no. What she has a problem with is that the 400 years that she's trying to lean back on, those times are forever gone, honey. You want these people to get any money or get any success, they need to get off, go do something. Get away from the microphone. Stop living with your hand out. Grab something with that hand. Grab a broom. Grab a hammer. grab onto some plywood, grab onto some sheetrock. You want to get paid to do something? No, you just want to get paid. And people, black and white, are sick of hearing your bull crap.
And so we are long overdue for reparations. I'm proud to be the lead sponsor of H.R. 40. Black folks are certainly deserving of redress and reparative work. And
nice big words. All it means is give me your money. These people can't even keep Walgreens or CVS open in their neighborhoods. Why? Because they go in and steal everything off the shelves, and then they call it corporate abandonment. These people can't control kids doing crazy things in these so-called teen takeovers. These people, and I'm saying, who do you mean these people? These people got to stop blaming other people for their position in life. That's one of the reasons why I kind of get upset sometimes, especially in the chat, because I've known too many of these people. I've worked around too many of these people who don't want to put in the time, don't want to put in the work, don't have any knowledge whatsoever, and expect for you to give it to them. And it's promoted by cue ball here. Reparations or redress. In order to have reparations, I just want to ask a question. In order to have reparations, every single one of those people, what are you getting a reparation for? Start with the lady on the right. What exact redress do you have? You look to be about, I don't know, 38, 40. What happened? How was your back walked upon? How were you tread upon? Want to tell me? I don't know, the cue ball lady probably got $300 sunglasses, makes $175,000 a year in Congress that you're paying for. Supposedly is worth $8 or $9 million. We got to figure out where that came from. What redress are you looking for? Guy in the behind, he's got his sunglasses on. Looks like he's got a suit on. What exactly do we owe you? By the way, if we owe you something, why the hell are you standing out in the sunlight, holding a sign, protesting, begging for money instead of doing something? It's a ruse. It's an insult. And the problem with it is it bleeds on the rest of us. When other people, I mean, at least if I show up in a nice car or I'm doing something, you know, you get the look and then, oh, you're not like them. No, I don't feel like I need redress. I don't feel like I need reparations. I don't feel like somebody owes me 40 acres and a mule. We should call their bluff. We should say, I don't know if you guys have ever driven down I-95, you know, through like South Carolina and Alabama or some of these, and there's just wide swaths of empty land. Go ahead and put stakes out in the grass and say, here's your 40 acres. Here's your donkey. Good luck. Now what? You see, it sounds pretty. It sounds so cool to say I get 40 acres and a mule. Until you realize I got 40 acres and a mule. And all this around me is just dirt. And I don't even know how to do anything. Otherwise, I wouldn't be begging for 40 acres and a mule. So let's say we started divvying it up and giving people 40 acres and a mule. I don't know where we're going to get all these mules, but here's yours. Here's your range. Take your mule. This is your patch. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with this patch of dirt? Because at that point, reality would hit really hard that you don't even know what to do with the dirt. You know exactly what they do. They try to sell it. They would try to sell something that was supposedly given to them. Here's your 40 acres. Do something with it. Oh look, there's no electricity out here. It's just dirt. There's no power out here. It's just dirt. The grass is high, and don't go in the bushes at night because there's stuff that's, you know, living here. You're just visiting. They have no idea what they would do with 40 acres. In fact, we could probably do a reality show. Here's your 40 acres, and we all could just film it and say, What's cue ball going to do right now? What's your first move, honey? You ain't got nothing.
One bill will not undo centuries of harm.
Number 8.
We don't have a government anymore, y'all. We don't have a government. This is a crime family.
I only show some of this stuff so you guys can see the sheer insanity that causes some of these people to go into different places and shoot things up. They know exactly what they're doing. They're very, very good at it. They know they're full of crap. They know what they're saying. They know they have a crazed audience.
This is a mafia. This is a cartel. This is a criminal syndicate. That's all he wakes up and thinks. How do I grease my own palms? How do I juice my bank account? How do I run another scam? How do I shake down the American taxpayer? That's all he thinks about. That's all he cares about. That and forcing his face onto currency and fucking Mount Rushmore and the Trump Kennedy Center. Like, this is what he does. This is what he is.
So you're a home, you're impressionable, you're a libtard with no future, and you get guys like this, him and Hassan Piker and Candace and all these people saying this stuff to you. He doesn't care about you. He's corrupt. He's a criminal. He's done stuff to women. He's grifting off of you. He's making money. And I always think when I talk to liberals like this is, what do you expect the president to do? My sister's in town. She's seeing the better parts of Boca. I told my other sister she's turning into, and this is a term, she's turning into a Boca bitch. She got to go to the clubs today and had to hang out, and they're doing facials and whatever a ritual bath is and all kinds of crazy stuff. Looking at the boats and Rolls Royces roll in as a big wedding there. And I asked them, what are you looking for a president to, quote, do for you? See, that premise right there is where it all starts going wrong. When people come and try to attack me, even in the chat, Trump doesn't care about you. He don't like you. As much as you try, he ain't going to accept you as one of them. And that premise right there, the premise is completely wrong. I don't care if, quote, Trump likes me. I don't care what Trump it won't do for me. All I want is for government to get the hell out of the way. They can't understand that. So they keep saying this stuff to people, saying Trump doesn't care about you. He's not going to do anything for you. I don't want him to. I would love for a president to get in office and go, all I'm going to do is plow the road, just pave the way so you can do whatever you want to do to be successful.
He is an endless black void of a man that it has no honor, no integrity, no dignity, no values, doesn't give a fuck about humanitarianism or altruism.
See, that's where they start giving themselves away. They're still pissed off that USAID has been cut. I hear that so much with liberals. Oh, you don't even understand. There's babies in Africa that are dying. And I don't mean to sound cold, but they got their own flag. They have their own presidents. Where's all the money coming to us? Where's the money from other countries saying, you know what, we're going to give you $50 billion for people in Appalachia? When's that happening? Never. We're going to give you $20 million for the people in the bayou. Not going to happen. How about $10 million for people in inner city Atlanta? Nope. $5 million to help the people in Kensington, Pennsylvania? Nope. But you're mad because over there isn't getting our money because you're not putting anything in anyway, so you don't really care. It's a shame that we're not just ripping off Americans to feed people in other countries. And they never turn that around. And because I don't know if he's ever seen it. Hey, you want to take a ride? Let me show you this place called Kensington. Roll your windows up, okay? Let me take you into, I don't know, some of the deepest hoods in the country. Roll your windows up. I don't know if they're going to take to you looking kind of fluffy here. What about these people? You don't care about them? No.
Or justice. Like, the man actively wants the worst for everybody.
Really? He actively wants the worst for everybody. He wakes up in the morning and goes, how can I F up people today? That's all I'm here for. I am here to try and F up everything and get you to live your worst life. He doesn't believe this. I don't know who this guy is, but he doesn't believe it. But he wants the people listening to him to believe it.
But to enrich himself, he is the embodiment of all that is evil. That's why it's fair to call him the Antichrist or a demon. If Jesus represents theoretically the notion of this like perfect human who is so altruistic and kind and decent, Trump is the fundamental opposite of that in every respect.
Wow. So what they're trying to breed is probably the same thing that this guy went into Washington and shot up. This guy is evil personified. He doesn't care about you. All he wants to do is hurt America, not realizing the guy talking to you at that moment, the guy spewing this stuff is the one that's looking to hurt you. I've had so many people in the chat like, Barry, why do you talk so much about prosperity? Because I want to be the opposite of these people. I try to tell people you can do this. You can prosper. There's nothing wrong with you prospering. Too many people have in their mind having money is bad, and if you do something to make money, you're triggering the whole money is the root of evil type thing without understanding the first part of that entire story. The love of money is the root of all evil. They somehow leave that off all the time. I've seen it in our chat. You guys have probably seen it. There are so many people who have been programmed to believe that prosperity is bad. That's the antithesis of what I say. What you just heard was somebody who's saying you got no chance, and a bald-headed chick saying you need reparations. None of them. You can look around. There is never a Democrat that says, let me show you how you can prosper on your own. Luckily, there's been plenty of people who have, over time, listened to what I've been saying and dipped their toes in the water and like, wow, this actually worked. I actually did something. See, that's the first step, doing something, realizing you're not an albatross. It's not just wrapped around your neck. You got to get ready to jump in the pool. Because that's what they're telling other people. You need reparations and you need redress, and Trump's the Antichrist.
Number 7.
To make a profit out of it. Don't take it.
I completely agree with that.
Americans are struggling.
All right, so these nuts start arguing with each other. Because the one on the right is talking about, hey, Trump RX is actually pretty good. I've seen cheaper prescriptions. And then nut job Joy Behar is like, no, they all just want to make money. Meanwhile, every person on that set is there because they're making money. You see how they twist that? You're not supposed to realize, if you're in that audience, that the people talking to you are probably each getting $1 million a year or something. You're not supposed to think that. Oh my gosh, Trump and everything Trump does is bad and people making money, except the people you're looking at are making money.
No, he is a failed businessman. And if you heard what he said, we both want to make people wealthy.
Is that bad? By the way, failed businessman? No, he's had failed businesses. But the old saying goes, as long as I have more ups than downs, I'm good. I want more wins than losses. But that's beyond these people. And they're upset because he said, I want to make people wealthy. Think about that. Think of the tone, what you're hearing here. And now they just come out and say it. Can you believe he said he wanted to make people wealthy? Well, what's the opposite of that? What if he didn't say it? I hope you people stay poor.
Didn't say
so. I should pay 10 times more for my
wealthy,
medication.
Which means to me that there's something in it for him. This is not a well-intentioned person.
His intention cashes in on Sunny, but what this does is it helps
Sarah, he
American
is not a well-intentioned person. He is not doing this out of the goodness of his heart.
Nobody
doing this to make money.
No one thinks he's doing it.
We're the wealthiest.
he's not doing it out of the goodness of his heart. What if that's true? What if the president did start, along with his advisors, Trump RX, out of the goodness of his heart? Instead, what if he's just doing his damn job? What if everything you guys have said since he basically got reelected was that eggs are too high and gas is too high, and so now they've lowered prices, and because it's not coming from the heart, we shouldn't take these lower drug prices. Instead of telling everybody in the audience, you need to go to Trump RX, you need to check your prescriptions, you need to look. Oh, he's not doing it out of the goodness of his heart. I don't give a crap if he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart. Is it going to allow people who need it cheaper drugs? It's all in how they posture.
We pay the most for drugs. The people that are literally suffering illnesses and cannot pay for their medicine, I can't think of a sicker business model. Bring down the prices, and if you're going to get results on this, call it Donald Trump medicine. I don't care what you call it.
There's somebody who's smart. I don't care what you call it. Call it Mark Cuban RX. I don't care. If it allows people who need help to get cheaper drugs, does it really matter? If Trump bought every McDonald's in the country and it said they're now Trump Donalds, Trump Donalds burgers, and I'm going to lower the price to $1 per burger, and I might make a profit on it, would you rather he didn't buy McDonald's, or would you rather that burgers would be cheaper? See, that's what they're saying. They don't care that, well, this one does. The other ones don't care that the prices are going to be lower. They don't want him involved. They don't want him to take any credit for it. They don't like his name on it.
There are countries all over this world, especially in Scandinavia, that have national health insurance.
Correct.
They do not want to have that.
New
That
Jersey,
would bring down
America.
the cost of drugs and health care. But they don't want that.
They have concepts of a plan, Joy, and right now this is a plan.
You are so
I'm going to go with
naive,
it.
the two of you. Wow.
The two of you are so naive.
They're pushing universal health care because they've been told to, and they're calling the other two like, hey, they're cheaper. Naive.
Number 6.
I can't look some people in the face and tell them you have no right to be angry or to do something that maybe is against your own interests. That's human nature. Many of the people who voted for my husband twice, twice. And I know that that's how they feel. It's like, this isn't about anything other than we need something different.
Yeah, they voted for Donald Trump. Yeah. That's a lot of people.
So you can't just pigeonhole them and say you just don't care and you're racist or whatever you're thinking. This is an act of, I don't know what else to do. I just wish we had more leaders that were figuring out how to do more for the middle class.
Middle class, working class, fair share. They're bumper stickers. What's middle class? And what's the best way for middle class to move up so they're not in the middle? Not free shit. Nobody broke is ever going to hire somebody to work. Nobody broke is going to come up with something and help you move upwards. Everything these people focus on is to keep people wanting and needing. Her and her husband cashed in big time, and they're still talking about poor peoples. Why didn't you help the poor peoples? Why did you give people vocational training? Why didn't you give people the reason to look at things better instead of looking for 40 acres and a mule in a field that they'll never be able to develop? Right now, you and your husband got all kinds of big bucks. Why don't you teach black kids not to go crazy in these teen takeover things? Nope, because we want you right where you are.
For the working folks, because those are the folks who are drowning in this economy. It's not me anymore, but I know those folks, and they're good people, and they don't have a way out, and that makes for bad choices.
If people don't have a way out, What's the best thing you can do for them? If somebody was at the end of their rope, forget financially, they were done. They didn't know what to do. They don't know how they're going to survive. They are completely without hope. What's the best thing you can do for them? Well, if you're a Christian, you can show them you're never alone. You're not hopeless. Let me show you. Let me introduce you to my Jesus. There's always something you can offer somebody. There's always something you can show to tell somebody, here's your way out. Shame on her for saying people don't have a way out. When you're the former first, whatever you were, and your husband was the first black president, and you're admitting on a podcast, people have no way out. How did you do it? See, that would be the next question I would ask her in that podcast. Wow. So, Miss Obama, how did you do it? Because she admitted earlier that's not us anymore. And we got ours. Okay. Then the answer to the question is, how did you do it? Can you help other people do it? Oh, you wrote a book. Do you want to show these people how to read and write? They're graduating and they can't do anything. You want to show them, hey, listen, the first thing you need to do is learn how to read and write. The reason why people don't have hope, the reason why they don't have any way out is because you want them to be that way. I would think every single one of you watching right now, I would be almost positive if somebody came to you or was introduced to you and said, hey, here's Shirley. She's got no way out right now. She's pregnant. She was doing drugs. She was getting beat by her boyfriend, and she just needs to find a way out. Are you going to look in Shirley's face and go, can't help you, gotta go? Or are you going to sit down with Shirley and go, do you really want some help? Here's the first thing I can do for you. Let's pray. Some of you guys might not like that, but to me, that's the first step, because I can't do it alone, and she can't do it alone. So in order for me to help you, I'm going to bring in somebody else who can help you as well. When I'm not here, when Robin's not there to talk to you, there's going to be this other person here that you can talk to who will listen to you. That'd just be step one. That's the foundation. That way you never have to ask for 40 acres and a mule. And then you start helping people. But the Democrats, she just said it. They got no way out. That's your problem. How did you get out? And you didn't get 40 acres and a mule. You didn't get any reparations. You didn't get any redress. How the hell did you and your black husband get out? You do have the answers. You just don't want to help.
Number 5.
Brown people from different backgrounds. The word socialism is weaponized as some kind of, anti-American thing.
All these people go on television, they just make you laugh sometimes. People think that socialism is some kind of anti-American thing. What the hell else would you call it? We are a capitalist country. To not be a capitalist country specifically means it's anti-American. And you're worried about, it's just, it's weaponizing people against socialism. Yes. It doesn't work. Nobody wants to be stuck up. Yeah. Oh my God. This is the guy who, I guess he pulled the fire alarm, but you just need to hear this insanity, because
people from different backgrounds. The word socialism is weaponized as some kind of, anti-American thing. And, Senator Gillibrand and others seem to have fallen victim to that level of ignorance and miseducation.
He just blamed 2 other Democrat senators, Kristen Gillibrand. She's a Democrat, but she's white. She's got money. And you guys don't realize it's all about socialism. And it's not a bad thing. Said only the socialist. But I guess that's how you get 40 acres and a mule and redress and reparations. They're begging.
Number 4.
Are there good billionaires and bad billionaires?
All right. David Axelrod, who used to work for Obama, set her up right there. Because the answer is very simple. Are there good billionaires and bad billionaires? It's a very simple question. It's a very simple question every single one of you should be able to answer. That's like saying, are there good teachers or bad teachers? Are there good businessmen and bad businessmen? It's a very simple answer. Yes, there are both.
I think this is the red herring, right? They want us to get into this quibbling of the morality of any individual person instead of the immorality of the fact that there is virtually no place in America where you can afford an apartment.
Sure. There's virtually no place in America where you can afford an apartment. Let me see if she qualifies that.
On a full-time job on minimum wage.
Did you hear the qualification there? There is no way that you're going to be able to afford an apartment anywhere in America on minimum wage. Honey, the last part of your statement is the problem. If you're working on minimum wage and you're over the age of, 18, there's your problem. You're not functioning. Of course they're not going to be able. That's not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to learn to earn. You're supposed to look to achieve. God knows when I was 18, 19 and coming out of college or still in college, I was bouncing at a bar. We lived in a house. No BS. There were 14 guys living in this house. Other bouncers, bartenders, 14 guys living in this house. Could any of us afford the rent by ourselves? No. we all had to get together at the end of the month. Hey, you got, and it was like $60 each. You got $60? Yeah, I got my $60. And then one of the guys would pay it. We weren't supposed to pay the rent on our own at 17 and 18. We had roommates. The house was trash. We was dirty, but we paid the rent. And then you know what happened? Oh, what happened was some of us moved beyond being bouncers and bartenders. And then, some of us actually opened businesses, and some of us actually went to work as lawyers and professionals and stuff at companies. They're no longer having to live in a house with 14 guys on minimum wage. The Democrats keep everybody stunted. They think that because you're, taking out the garbage, you're supposed to get the same as the guy who's, cooking the food. It doesn't work that way. They want to rewrite all of the laws of society.
And that is somehow completely disconnected and alien from the fact that we have a system that is designed to create this level of income inequality.
No, just the opposite. We have a system that's designed for you to aspire. When I was a bouncer, and back then making $40-50 a night, throwing people out of the bar, I never said to myself, this is it. I got nothing to look forward to. I remember one of my roommate's fathers came to the house one day, and he sat me down. This guy was a businessman. I'll never forget this. I was 18 or 19. I'll never forget this. And he sat us both down on the stoop, and he said to us, right now, how much money do you have in your wallet? And his son goes, I don't even have a wallet. And he looked over at me, and I'm like, $20. How old are you? 19, whatever. Is that where you want to be 1 year, 3 year, 5 years from now? Like, no, I don't want to be here for 1, 3, 5 years. Have these people never sat people down and said that? This is a temporary situation. You're not supposed to live and flourish on minimum wage. You're supposed to put together a chart and chart your course as to what you want to do with life. Nobody I ever grew up with, not a single person, ever said, you know what, maybe I can work the fryer someday, and when I do, I have made it, man. I can't tell you, I've made it. I get to work the fryer. Nobody. Not one single person ever said that. Everybody was applying for jobs. Everybody was studying. Everybody was doing everything while they were bouncing or bartending. Nobody thought that your final destination was working the fryer. The theme here that you're hearing, that I'm showing you with Democrats, is that's what they want. And then when they see other people with the nice cars and the nice houses and taking trips, and they have the fear of missing out on social media, the other one says we need to give them reparations and redress. Hell no.
5 years, billionaire wealth has doubled. Ask yourself if the quality of your life has doubled in the last.
Okay. Yes. You see, she tried to equate money with the quality of life. And by using that analogy, by saying the billionaires have doubled their income or whatever wealth, and has your quality of life? No, you didn't say has my bank account doubled. You haven't said, how much more I'm making. You said my quality of life. You see, each individual person, me, you, the person sitting next to you, people in chat, that quality of life is defined by them. You may say, you know what? I got a new bedroom set. The car's running. My quality of life has improved. You may say, I moved into a bigger house. The kids moved out. My quality of life has improved. You may say, I just learned how to cook on my new stove, and my wife is showing me all these different recipes, and while she's working, I can help her make dinner. Your quality of life has improved. See, quality of life is not regulated by dollars. They try to make it that way.
Last 5 years. And we are experiencing the concentration of our systems. Our housing system, this wealth is being built from market consolidation and consolidation of our housing system, our energy systems, right? The president has taken huge amounts of contributions from special interests in order to essentially stop wind energy. And
sometimes I feel like I need to pray for her. I'm like, what the hell did you just say? What did you just say? Housing consolidation? Wind energy? What are you even talking about? How does nobody in the audience just raise their hand and go, what the hell are you talking about? Housing consolidation? No, my house and the house next door didn't come together. They're still their yard and our yard. Midas and Lily make noise here too much sometimes, and their dog barks as well. No, there's no consolidation. I don't even see any I don't even know what the hell that means. Do you? No. And then somehow she went from there to windmills.
Renewable and clean energy in this country to prop up profits. And we look at, and so on and so forth. And people want to make this about individuals.
It hurts to watch her sometimes. And the longer the moderators let her talk, you can tell she's so underwater, right? She keeps saying right, like she's looking for affirmation, and she's not getting it because nobody knows what the hell she's talking about. They all pretend like they know, and afterwards they'll clap, and then they leave. They're like, what did she say? No, I don't know. I don't know what she just said. I have no idea.
Instead of about the system that allows this mass concentration of wealth to occur, and also the decisions that are made to allow that to continue to exist and to.
Okay. So this is a very sly way of saying capitalism shouldn't be here. The system that allows, that was her words, allows somebody to become a billionaire. The system that allows people to buy a boat. That system is causing the problem. What's the fix? Socialism. I get your stuff too. That's where she's going with this, and this is to the people she's talking to, and she's telling them the reason you can't get ahead is because the system is stacked against you. All the billionaires are making money. Well, what about the people who aren't billionaires yet? I'm going to tell you something, and you're probably going to like, what are you talking about? You are one idea from being a billionaire. One idea away from being a billionaire. This is 2026. There is so much stuff happening right now. People are doing so many different things with AI, with you're one idea away from being a billionaire. Have you ever thought that? Have you ever thought to yourself, if I can just think of something that people are going to want, I'm going to be a billionaire. You may never think of that thing, but you are always one thought away, one idea away from being a billionaire. She's trying to take that away from you. You shouldn't have that one idea. You shouldn't want that one idea because you get that one idea, and if you were to become a billionaire, then, now you've ruined it for everybody else that's poor. And I can tell you, and you probably know, there are so many people who have made hundreds of millions and billions on one idea. What's that lady? I can't believe she made billions on it. The lady who invented Spanx. Look up her story. She found a way for women to pull these things up and shove everything together, and she made a gazillion dollars. She was one idea away. One. Afterwards, you sit back. Why not? I know a lot of fat chicks. Why didn't I come up with Spanx? Why? And I'm like, yeah, it's genius. And it's like it just made it like a modern era girdle. Just squeeze it all in there and like, oh yeah, honey, look at me, I look great. What is that? That's a Spanx. She made $1 billion. And I could tell you stories like that over and over. You can go look them up yourself. One idea. One. I don't know what it is. I'm not a billionaire, but I know I'm one idea away.
Protect that concentration of power and wealth.
And
Number 3.
Mentioned the Paxton case, and that.
Okay, so this is a man. Just want to let you know. This is probably one of the sickest things I've seen in a while. This is a cosplay here. Is that a safe word? Hopefully that's a safe word. This is somebody playing cosplay, and wait till you hear what they're advocating for.
AGs in many states are very clear about that. They're almost jubilant about being able to use these laws to ban young people from accessing content that could be educational if they are queer. And you are.
Okay. He's whatever is mad because they're having a meeting about banning porn, and specifically the alternative lifestyle porn, from kids being able to see it. And this person says it's bad to ban it because it could be educational, because you need to learn how to do the things that they do. Yeah.
A principal, you have LGBT students in your school, and we also know that they're not receiving sex education for queer kids. We know that prurient interest.
What? Oh, I love how they just make up words, don't you? I heard this. I went, what? Querient interest. They sit around with a thesaurus. Oh, let's look at this word. Querient. What does that mean? I can't even answer. YouTube would shut me down. Aquarian interest. Well, there's a word for you. There's a 2026 word if you ever heard one. Kids are in school. Instead of learning how to do 2 + 2 and 1 + 1, they have querient interests. And we need to make sure that they can pull up the book showing Jimmy and Joey how they could butt romp each other.
We know that prurient interest could be, for many people, the very existence of transgender kids. More.
Oh, he's coming. I'm pretty sure he's coming soon. I'm pretty sure sometimes he sits back and goes, either that or the aliens. One of the two are coming first. I don't even know at this point, but the stuff I hear on a daily basis and bring to you guys, and you guys sit there and go, where does Barry find this stuff? This one had me. I'm like, please. It's coming. The comet or the aliens, whichever comes first.
More people are saying there simply are no transgender kids.
You're right. There are not. Y'all make them turn them into it. And you're forcing us to play cosplay with you.
Number 2.
Little breaking news coming into the story. New York City Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch issuing this stark warning a short time ago. Watch.
I began my career building out the NYPD's counterterrorism capabilities. And in my 18 years in government, I have not seen a threat environment quite like this one.
So what did you expect? Y'all elected the guy who wants to be chummy with them. You're letting them all like put rugs out in Times Square. And now you're like, hey man, I've been here for 18 years. I ain't never seen nothing like this. Good. Deal with it. Let everybody know. Let everybody know you went and let the wolf into the hen house, and he brought the other wolves in, and you brought them wolves in, and look at what they're doing. I ain't never seen anything like this.
Where multiple pressures are active at the same time, and where developments abroad can have immediate consequences here at home. Just last week, a commander for Kataib Hezbollah, a designated foreign terrorist organization aligned with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, was charged with helping direct 18 attacks and plots against Jewish and American targets.
I'm sorry. I scared Lily. Lily, these people crazy, Daddy. Why you keep showing me? Make them go away. Please make them go away. You heard this on any other news? That there's so many threats in New York right now. She's never seen anything like it. You ever seen anything like it? I've never seen nothing like it, Daddy. It's bad. It's real bad.
Overseas since hostilities began in Iran on February 28th. And he allegedly tried to bring that terror here to New York City. According to the complaint, he sent a map, photograph, and identifying information for a New York synagogue.
You see the trend here? I showed you the Ivanka story earlier, and they keep sending out floor plans on buildings. They tried to get Ivanka's house, they had the floor plan, and now they're sending out floor plans of synagogues. So what happens if they want to do something where you live? And they decide, let me log on the county website. Y'all got so much information out here, it's all public. This is amazing. We can find out everything about these people we want to wipe out. Right? It's awful, Daddy. It's bad. It's real bad.
Someone that he believed could carry out that attack.
Yeah, a little more context here. Tisch says that suspect seen in this photo with former IRGC Commander Qasem Soleimani, that's the man that President Trump went after and successfully killed a few years ago.
You look familiar? He should. He's the guy I was talking about earlier. Same guy has been talking to New York about blowing up New York's synagogues.
Was thwarted thanks to the state's partnership with federal authorities. Imagine that. The states working with the federal government? Might be a trend.
Number 1.
I just saw the headline, so I'd need to read a little bit more. But obviously, this is an administration that believes that they can go into other countries and grab foreign leaders. We have pushed back strenuously. We have asked questions about not just Venezuela, but about Trump's reckless war in Iran. And this seems to be another area where the president is using every tool he can to deflect against a reckless war of choice and to distract from the American public that he's trying to, to enrich his family. Those are all the things that we know this president does, and this is one more example. I haven't read the details of the.
If you haven't read the details of Castro's indictment, then why the hell are you standing in front of a microphone? You have to listen to these people sometimes. I like to listen to what they say. And that ain't like, yeah, let me tell you about Trump. He sucks. And he's just trying to deflect from something, Epstein or something. And I don't know why he's going to Cuba. And I haven't read the indictment yet. Then what? Then what are you talking about, bro?
Indictment, obviously.
Meanwhile, guys, I want to say something about Cuba really quick. Someone sent me a DM, horrible DM, but I want to say something to you guys, okay? I want to say something. I want you guys to imagine this, okay? Imagine you're born in an island, a very beautiful island, but you could never leave this island, ever leave this island, okay? You grow up, you start growing up, you go to school. This school is falling apart. The bathrooms don't work. There's no fan. There's no air conditioning. It's super hot in the classroom, okay? There's no food at the school to feed the kids. So if you're lucky at your home, you have bread and you have butter and you have sugar, and your mom or your dad fixes you a piece of bread with butter and sugar, and that is what you're sent to school for the day.
Meanwhile, our Democratic politicians are saying, oh, it's just a deflection. I'm pretty sure most of you never went to school with bread, butter, and sugar as a meal. These people who keep complaining about people starving in Africa, who keep worried about how much money we can give to Ukraine, don't give a crap about Cuba. Because unlike Ukraine and what's the other place that we were talking about, somewhere in Uganda and Somalia, this is 90 miles away. It's right there. And you don't even have to go to Cuba. You can come down to Miami and just talk to people like this woman who has relatives and has had the stories passed down from her where she's almost in tears, so happy that President Trump is going to liberate Cuba. But you didn't even read the indictment.
You go home and the electricity is still not on. So your parents are running around trying to feed you, find whatever they can to feed you. You go to bed hungry with the heat. And this has been happening your whole life. You grow up, you become a doctor or, whatever. The cycle continues. You have kids, everything continues. You're a doctor. You get sent away for 2 years. You don't see your family, working your ass off in another country. You come back, they take all that money from you and they only leave you with $5,000, $7,000. Meanwhile, they kept over $100,000 of your hard-earning money as a doctor.
Now, understand, remember the last week I showed you the new executive orders that President Trump signed, not getting any publicity anywhere. Hope we went back and read them, because this is some of the stuff this is designed to stop. It's designed to stop the remittances and other money going back to places like Cuba and Mexico and Haiti, taking American dollars and feeding them back to another country.
You can't even buy a car. You can't even take your kids on the weekends anywhere. Let's say you take your kids somewhere and you pass by a ice cream shop and your kid says, I want an ice cream. You can't even afford one scoop of ice cream because it's $5 and you made $20 that month.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine making or having available $20? That takes me all the way back to college. That takes me all the way back to when I was bouncing and I'm like, how much you got in your pocket? I got $20. But but I knew more was coming because I could pick up some more shifts. So I wasn't completely destitute. I could still go buy a pizza or beer. But these people are living their lives like this.
Imagine that, okay? That's your whole life. For the rest of your life, you can't do that. Meanwhile, the government and their friends and families are living like kings, flying in and out, eating steaks that you...
Did she say kings? I think she said kings. They're living like kings. What happened to the no kings people? Funny. They're not talking about Cuba. You know, Obama's sitting there at the baseball game and they're laughing it up, and communism is 90 miles off the south part of Florida, and they've got, you know, literally a king. So it's just not the right kings, I guess. They never talk about it. Notice that none of the Democrats are talking positively about Cuba.
I've never had. You know, that is Cuba, and that has been happening forever. Did you guys, you can go into a hotel and enjoy a piece of coffee. You can't go to the beach because you can't afford to get on a train or a bus. That is Cuba. They've been suffering for years and years and years. This is not just nothing new. Am I excited that they indicted Raul Castro in every regime? Heck yes, I am. So when you tell me that Cuba is one of the best places to live and you have never even been there or experienced that, just imagine living in a place that you could never leave. So don't. And if your child gets sick and you can't find Tylenol to bring down their fever, and you do find Tylenol, you're charged $20 when you go. You can't find syringes for your diabetes family, ibuprofen. There's none of that. But meanwhile, the government, the regime, and all their friends have access to all that. And you, as a normal human being that has worked your whole life in Cuba, don't have access to any of that. So don't send me any DMs talking nonsense because you have no effing idea. Have a great day.
That's 2 snaps up. 2 snaps up to her. Oh my gosh. SB showed up. He's not on camera, so I can't talk to him. Wanted to figure out how he did in his pickleball tournament. But he did say, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, so they've identified the shooter. White House shooter has been identified as Nazir Best. He has died. So he's dead. Documented history with law enforcement and mental health concerns. How many times are we going to hear this? Wow. Wow. Nazir Best. I can't make any headway with that name. I guess we'll have to wait tomorrow. Maybe people will have the manifesto or something. We knew he was crazy. You don't go taking a pea shooter and start shooting at the White House, but the other guy's got long guns. Let me see if there's a picture of him anywhere before we close tonight. Uh-oh. The alleged gunman who opened fire in the White House has been identified as Nazir Best. Best is deceased now and had a documentary with law enforcement. And I hope that's the right picture, but there he's done. He's dead. Dead. Absolutely nuts. By the way, I just want to let you know that poor woman from earlier, she's getting like roasted. The one who's like, girl, what's that? What is that? What? She, you know, she's done for. I understand she's from NBC. What's that? Do I still have the cut of her doing that? Because it's worth. Oh yeah, I've got the actual cut. You guys get to hear that again as we close.
What is that?
Sounds like
Today, but this this obviously comes just a couple of weeks after a shooting at the White House.
What is that? You're the reporter, honey. You're supposed to be telling us. We're under heavy gunfire here at the White House. Yeah, and you're shooting all over. What's that? She's done for. She has become a meme instantly. A perfect caricature of anti-gun people. She didn't even know what she. I don't know. What is that? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. No, you're right. Somebody says that doesn't sound like a pistol. You are 100% correct. That was the sound of them lighting his ass up. So whatever he popped off, 2 or 3, that was the guys with the big guns going, just mowing his butt down. So you are correct. That does not sound like a pistol, because that's not a pistol. That is somebody getting mowed down by some big guns. Big guns. So, God. Somebody goes, she looks like a clueless child. I think she is, poor little girl. They need to send her to Ukraine and cover the war. Oh boy, she'd never make it out. Somebody goes, like she has never heard gunfire before. There were other people in the chat who said they hadn't heard gunfire before either. That's natural. People haven't heard gunfire, but you would think the other guy standing there with her would have been, get down, gets gunfire. Or as you're looking around, you see the guys running with big guns. Might have been a small indication that something was going on. Just saying. All right, so the guy who did the shooting, he has been eliminated, and now they'll dig into him and everything else. But at least we don't have to go through a trial with some liberal judge going, he was just a poor kid. He just needed some help. That's all. Some people say it sounds like fireworks. Yeah, I'm deaf. Somebody said, Terry Mom said, I'm deaf, and I look like. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, you guys are cracking me up. All right, so that's what I got for tonight for you guys. This is too funny. You guys are so funny. Let me see if President Trump has said anything later. Nope. So we don't know what's going on with Iran. I guess we'll figure that out tomorrow. Wow. What a day. What a day. It was absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. SV, thanks for that link. All right, let me do super chat, and I got to go have dinner and take the dogs out. Lily's here. She's telling me she wants to go out badly, so I got to take her out. Robin's with my sister, just so you guys know that. All right, let me do this. Move this over. Okay. Sherry, greatly appreciate you, Barry, mods, and friends. Let's go, Patriots. We got this. Discernment, absolutely. Matt Mazurik, nothing will happen with Iran until after the Hajj pilgrimage is over on May 28th or 29th. This is what the call from UAE and Qatar and Saudi was all about. Interesting. Dave the Party, can we stop playing pretend now and send it to the Marines? Really? Fume drummer, what is that tall A-frame next to the White House? Ballroom related? I don't know if there's an A-frame, but there are a bunch of cranes back there, so that might have been what you saw. Trump struck a nerve somewhere deep. Yeah, deep state is freaking. Thank you, Chia Shop. Never. What a day for the bulletproof shirt. Oh, by the way, let me just show that to you again. It says Bulletproof 2028 on it, and it's from my pals at Patriot Addict. It's free if you let me just go ahead and put that back up so you guys can see it if you want. It's free, you just have to pay shipping. Oh, I deleted it. Go to berrypack.com. That's what you have to go to. berrypack.com. All right. Yeah, really, what a day to wear. Barry, things happen when your show is on because God is working through you to show us the evil in the world. Man, I wish I didn't have to see it and bring it to you guys. It's crazy. Tania, Barry, I'm stating the obvious, but OMG, the devil is running rampant and these sick people are doing his work. Jesus help us. And you have to realize it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Jeanette, Barry, I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of these people trying to kill our president. Yeah. And Democrats don't even talk about it. They need it to happen. Ernest, 1962, I was at a secret briefing and absolutely nothing was even close was ever stated by the lamestream media. No. Right now, everybody's scratching to get a nut at this point. They're trying to be the first ones out and try to say, oh, my source said, your source did. He got nothing. Gee, thank you. G. Fisher, what the hell isn't Jeffries being held in custody for his public call to arms against us? Geosop, some houses have video tours. Yep, easy to see the layouts. Exactly. Binhad, thank you, Barry, for your awesome gift of gab and all the tireless research that you do for us. Thank you. You know, it's hard when there's breaking news like that, especially SV wasn't here, so I was trying to jump and find the right things that I could bring to you guys. James Hammond, Democrats have to tone down their rhetoric. They won't. Don't even wait for it. Hello, Neo. Must keep our heads on a swivel. Barry, have a safe weekend. God bless you and Fanfare team. Praying for our president and his family and staff safety. Absolutely. Valga, know anything about what Jared Kushner's brother is building in South Mississippi? Something about drones just down the road and security is off the chain. I'll look into that. Andrew Wessing, Barry, how do I get a redress of grievance from the Democrat Party? Seriously, the destruction of our children, our schools, and danger to the USA. And that and wanting to make sure that everybody has querient abilities to search for, porn. Crazy. Pekoski, status quo as usual. Thank you. Renegade Granny, Barry, you're better than all the news. I mostly lurk, but also always watch. Thank you for what you do. Thank you very much. Buddy Sanders, Trump is losing money by being president. He sure is. When the lady from The View said he's a failed businessman, she must not really pay attention. James Hammond, AOC makes my head hurt. They all do. Yeah, I agree. Cutting edge, New York have to do something fast before this problem expands. At the same happened with the UK almost a year ago. MI6 reported it. The problem has expanded more than the retention. This cannot be contained. God help us. When your police commissioner says, I've never seen it this bad in 18 years, it's bad. It's very bad. Cheers up. Thank you. Mental health concerns. Yes. So a Democrat. What else is new? What's that? It's not on my teleprompter. Shooter looked like a white guy. A white guy with blonde hair. Oh yeah. A white black man. A white black man was seen shooting up at the White House. The White House, the Black House, whatever you want to call it. It's crazy. All right, everybody, I will see you tomorrow. I didn't know this was going to go 3 hours. That's why the dogs are freaking out. Thanks. Thank you for tuning in.
room.